All right, guys, welcome in. Another wonderful day. Fridays are fun to me. Fridays are fun. It's the end of a work week. A little later than normal. I had some stuff to do this afternoon. A little later than normal for a Friday, kind of on time for a normal Sunday or a Wednesday show. But had some stuff to do this week, this afternoon rather, and wanted to get it. Hopefully, the later show has allowed you the opportunity to get your steak and potato dinner out of the way, and now you are ready to sit down, focus. I'm hoping you guys have gotten your steak and potato dinner out of the way. Yes. Black Power, Black Friday. Black Friday's next week, man. Black Friday's next week. But the black hoodie is in full effect. This is a great, I'm telling you guys, if ever I could wear the this hoodie all the time. Great choice of hat tonight. I got the free speech hat on because we have a very serious discussion. This would have been a good night for the research group. I keep talking about the research group. I have been warned against it. I will be honest with you. I have had multiple people tell me do not do the research group because it will get infiltrated, and then the enemy, the ops, as the kids say, the ops will know what you're working on. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. But don't they already know what we're working on? Right? Don't they know what we're working on? We're working on freedom. We're working on truth. We're working on, everything else. So let me jump right into it. I have a lot to cover. And on Fridays, I try to not hold you for too terribly long. But let me, that's the key right there. That would be the key to doing it as a small team. The question is, how do we get to the small team? Mr. Al-Ghamdi, if that is your real name. But I digress. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the show. That helps push it to the top of the algorithm. And don't forget to click notifications so you know when I go live. In 2003, let me take you back in time. In 2003, this is 22 years ago. Some of you may have just been children at the time. An obscure image with the generic title Image 3850 was uploaded on a website called Pictopia. Image 3850, uploaded on a little-known website called Pictopia. It was downloaded a grand total of 6 times. The picture was an aerial image of Barbara Streisand's Malibu, California beachfront home. Her mansion sat upon gorgeous sandstone cliffs with a 180-degree view of the Pacific Ocean. For some reason, Barbara Streisand sued the photographer, Kenneth Edelman, and demanded, among other things, the removal of the picture from the website and $50 million in damages. Doing the math, that's over $8 million for each of the 6 times the picture had been downloaded. Now, had Streisand not sued, had she instead chosen to ignore the image, it's incredibly likely very few other people would have known the image existed or bothered to view and download it, even if they did. Instead, the opposite happened. Because of Streisand's absurdly ridiculous lawsuit and the demands, people flocked to this little-known website to view and download the previously unknown image of Streisand's immaculate beachfront mansion. Before the lawsuit, 6 people total had downloaded the image. In the very first month after the news of the lawsuit broke into the public, 420,000 people had downloaded the image. To this day, countless millions of people have viewed it. The lawsuit eventually was dismissed, and Streisand was ordered to pay $177,000 in legal fees. 2 years later, in 2005, a new phrase was coined, the Streisand effect. The Streisand effect exists when the efforts to suppress information intrigue others, leading to the dissemination of that information rather than its suppression. In other words, something exists in the native human psyche such that once people are aware that some information is being hidden or suppressed, they're significantly more motivated to acquire and spread that information. We've seen this play out time and time again in history. For the sake of brevity, consider a few topics that have become fashionable just from the past couple of decades. Who among us, for example, expected a sizable portion of the population to question the moon landing, whether the Earth is round, or the events leading up to 9/11? Consider events from just the past year or two. Is the president of France married to a man? And how exactly did Charlie Kirk die? On the last couple of points, consider this. If there had not been an inorganic and coordinated global attempt to discredit and silence Candace Owens, what would you think of Brigitte Macron and whether she's packing, or at least was packing at one point in time? It probably wouldn't even have registered to most people. But after the full press attack on Candace, almost everyone is talking about Macron's purported wife. And I mean, doesn't everyone sort of know the truth about that whole weird situation? I mean, don't you think Candace is kind of right? That, in my opinion, it's my opinion that your opinion is probably some sort of an opinion. But that's what's happening with the investigation into Charlie Kirk. The more mainstream uniparty figures take to X, take to YouTube, and other social media platforms to denounce everyone who believes Tyler James Robinson did not by himself plan and execute the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the more the Streisand effect kicks in. More people get curious about what is being suppressed. More people want to know what all the fuss is about. It's not just Charlie Kirk. It's happening with Candace herself, as well as other online personalities like Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith, Ian Carroll, and of course, Nick Fuentes, who seems to be on a generational run that nobody would have predicted just a few short years ago. The more people are told this group and others like them are wrong, the more people tune in to hear what they have to say. The more we're told they're lying, the more we start to believe what they're saying is true. It's human nature. Those in power simply do not attempt to suppress lunacy or lies. It just doesn't happen. Something that's not true goes without notice. There are people who believe in mermaids, for example, or that several centuries of the last millennium didn't happen at all, but were inserted into the history books for some reason. These are legitimate conspiracy theories. I've listened to podcasts on them. They're easy to disprove, but nobody takes the time to do it. Why not? Why aren't online influencers producing coordinated video campaigns disproving that there are no mermaids or that history actually happened over the timeline we've all been told? Women with fish bodies don't live in the ocean. We can prove that using biology and all known records. Centuries were not inserted into history. We have records from those years of volcano eruptions, comet appearances, and eclipses that would have been impossible to fake at the time. It's because they're so obviously not true. Nobody bothers wasting any time debunking them. Contrast that with, say, the moon landing or 9/11, which will cause people to lose their minds trying to debunk the theories and supporting the official government narrative. And that's what's happening. Not only with Candace, Dave, Ian, Nick, and others, it's what's happening with particular stories they cover, particular narratives they push. The Streisand effect happens. The harder the mainstream attempts to suppress them and their speech, the more people sit up, take notice, and listen carefully to what they have to say. It is, after all, human nature. With that, I want to get into some of the attempts to suppress Candace. Because they're not organic. No, ma'am. This is not true. Now you're just lying. See, this is easily disproven. I just covered this, and I'm not going to take the time to do it. I want to get into some of the attempts to disprove Candace, that's a poor choice of words. I want to get into some of the attempts to silence Candace. For example, here's one on X. I zoomed in too much. If you zoom in on this, let's see if I can do this. No, that makes it worse. There we go. This is somebody who thinks she's doing a good job, doing the Lord's work, presumably, or at least some Middle Eastern countries' work, perhaps, disproving Candace Owens. Ha, ha, ha. Candace Owens got wrecked live on her show by reading an email from a whistleblower who pranked her. The address she was given is the location of her own lawyer's office. You can't make this up. The poster child for low IQ anti-Semitism. This is not the only one of these, by the way. This is not the only one of these. In fact, there was another one of these that read almost the same way. Look at that one. Now watch. Watch. I'm going to change it, but you won't know because this is a coordinated attack. This is unorganic. Breaking. Candace Owens appears to have been pranked on air by a tip. In yesterday's episode, Candace read out an email from someone claiming to have inside knowledge about why her Egyptian plane landed in Delaware. The tip said all directions pointed to the address 1 Rodney Square, 920 North King Street, Wilmington, Delaware, 19801, which just so happens to be the address of Candace Owens' lawyers. Folks, that's a non sequitur. Both of these emails, or both of these Twitter posts, X posts, whatever we're calling it now, are examples of non sequiturs. This is what the left, the anti-Candace Owens left, or the anti-Candace Owens right even, it's a conclusion or statement that does not logically follow from the previous argument or statement. That is the definition of a non sequitur. Who cares where her lawyer's office is? It's irrelevant to whether or not this address has something to do with the Egyptian planes. It is absolutely irrelevant. And this is something that's been going on all over X. I pulled up 2. I could have pulled up 2,000. And I'm irritated by this. Why? It's an attempt to suppress free speech, and I don't believe it's organic. I don't believe it's organic. I think it's coordinated, and I think it's paid. I think it's paid. And I'll give you an example of why I think it's paid in just a moment. But I want to debunk this particular thing. Now, it's possible that the email Candace gave her is incorrect information. You have to be willing to accept that you might be wrong whenever you present information. It is, after all, tips. We're getting tips. I get tips. My email has tips. Some of them I go with. Some of them I don't. Some of them I research. Some of them I just set aside. Not everything that's reported in an ongoing investigation turns out to be presented at trial. This is even true for the FBI, local detectives, local police chiefs. They'll get a tip that a certain address has been selling drugs, for example. And they'll work up the case. They say, hey, this must be part of our big crime spree, our crime syndicate. And then they'll work it up and they'll go in there, and it's not Colombian drug lords in there. It's like a middle-class family. The tip was wrong. Does that mean they shouldn't have investigated the tip? Does that mean they should have said, well, we're not 100% sure. We're not 1,000% sure, Johnny. So we shouldn't talk about it at all? No. That's not at all what the situation means. That's not at all what it means. What it means is that we need to proceed with caution, and I think she's doing that. One of the things she's done is she's deleted or at least redacted certain portions of these emails that she's reading. I think that's fair. I think that's a smart thing to do. You don't want, for example, that's weird, there's a helicopter outside. Do you hear that? It's loud. Let me turn my mic up, see if you hear it. Oh, it sounds like it's on top of my, oh, sorry, it's still loud. Sounds like it's on top of my house. They're coming for me, June. It's free speech. Don't come get me. Oh, sorry. Actually, I thought it was flying off. It's still here. I'm hearing it through the microphone in my earphones. Now, I have a noise gate, so you guys may not be getting, it may not be going out over the air because the noise gate is taking all the little production behind the scenes. There's a noise gate that takes all low sounds out, and it doesn't transmit over the air. But I am hearing it through my headphones, through the microphone. So if I get pulled off the air, it was a helicopter. Anyway, let me go back to Candace for a second. Let's go down both rabbit trails. Let's say on the one hand, this is absolutely bulletproof, solid information. Okay. She has just helped us. She has given us tips that we can then begin to investigate. Her team of 4 or 5 people can't possibly run down every lead relative to 920 North King Street, Wilmington, Delaware. There might be people out there who saw things, heard things, and it's not the 4 of them, 5 of them. The awareness, other people talking about her show, other people tweeting about her show, that adds to the amount of information that may come in. So that's option 1. It is relative. Option 2 is, let's say it's not relative. Let's say the guy's wrong. Let's say he either did prank her or he's just flat out wrong. I can still hear it. Anyway, Does that mean you don't go? No, because what she said was, and I have what I think is evidence that she did what she said. If you listen to her show yesterday, I finally got caught up on her before this program here tonight. If you listen to what she said yesterday, she said that she had called around some of her intelligence insiders and that they said, yeah, this building exists and they do take dignitaries there, or something along those lines. I don't want to get it wrong, whatever. Said something along those lines. You know why I think that happened? Do you remember Joe Kent? Do you remember Joe Kent fishing around in the FBI files? I always wondered why he did that. I couldn't figure it out. Only knowing what had become public, it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever why Joe Kent was fishing around in the FBI files. Joe Kent's in counterterrorism. This is a murder. Ostensibly, this is a murder that didn't even cross state lines. I think that was tricky by the insiders, by the way. If they set up Tyler James Robinson, I think it's really tricky they pick someone from within Utah to commit the murder. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about that. Keeps it out of federal court. Keeps it out of federal court. And there are advantages to a prosecuting agency of keeping it in state court. Namely, the threat of the death penalty, which might have your patsy more willing to cooperate. So I think that was very slick, by the way, that they used a gun that originated inside of Utah. He didn't have to go down to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy one that had just come in off the bus from Pennsylvania, wherever it was manufactured, or Germany. So that's, and he just drove right up a Utah road to a Utah State University. I mean, it was brilliant. The amount of patsying that was done on this patsy was absolutely top notch. My hat's off to you, sir, whoever planned this. But they allowed it to stay in state court. A lot of people aren't talking about that. This could have been a federal crime. And then people would have said, why isn't the FBI taking this to federal court? Why isn't the U.S. attorney prosecuting this? I got to be careful what I say as a lawyer. There are advantages to a prosecution in state court over federal court. Smaller jury pools. And an obvious death penalty issue. That's a lot easier to get death penalty. So, and that applies a lot of pressure, especially if you were involved in it, but not necessarily the trigger man. You might be willing to stay quiet in order to avoid the death penalty because you know you're going to prison for life anyway. But you might get killed if you challenge it, or if you run your mouth or blow the whistle. So there are advantages to being in state court. Again, my hat's off to you. Whoever planned this to make sure it stayed in state court. That's slick. That's slick as Al Doo-Doo. But let me go back to this because I keep getting sidetracked. Very nonlinear tonight. That's what I said. It's kind of an informal show, but I do have quite a bit to cover, and I'm going to move kind of quickly through it. But I have to address this Candace Owens thing and this she got pranked, she got wrecked, whatever. Guys, it is entirely possible that there is a secret multi-agency federal office in a building that also happens to house a law firm. And think about how, I'm not saying this is what happened. I don't know how it happened, but think about how she might have a contact who would see what happened in this multi-agency federal office, assuming she hired the law firm that's also in the office. You see where I'm going here, people? I'm not saying that's what happened. But I'm saying that type of thing could happen. Now, how did Joe Kent get involved? If Candace Owens, I keep looking over here like you guys can see what I'm looking at. She's on my big screen over here. Well, hello, Candace. Good evening. Great show tonight. Imagine Candace runs down these leads and talks to some of her insider friends inside the federal government in certain intel agencies, maybe the counterterrorism group or a different division of the FBI. You could see how the division chief, Joe Kent, might say, hey, wait a minute. We're talking Egyptian planes, possibly French dignitaries, maybe other Middle Eastern countries involved. I ought to look into this as the counterterrorist chief. You could see how Tulsi Gabbard, as the ODNI, might have her awareness elevated. I never understood until she said that on yesterday's show. It never dawned on me. I just couldn't figure out why Joe Kent got involved. There's no jurisdictional hook for Joe Kent to get involved that I could find that I'd heard of. You know, Charlie saying I'm forced to leave the Israeli cause 2 days before he got shot is, in my opinion, not enough of a jurisdictional hook to get the counterterrorism chief involved. That's kind of a weak stew there, right? That's pretty watery. Need to add a lot of tomato base to make that taste good. But if Candace is showing information she hasn't shared with us yet, and I do believe she has information she hadn't shared with us yet, that would be foolish. Did Andrew Breitbart teach us nothing with the acorn thing? If you remember, I don't know how old my audience is, but when Andrew Breitbart took down Acorn, and he did for a number of things, but he had all this information. And I think James O'Keefe may have been working for him at the time. It was somebody in that industry, and they said, hey, we're going to use this to take down Acorn. And Breitbart slapped him around and said, no, dummy, we're going to use this to take down the media. Because Breitbart's thing was, not Breitbart, the organization that was formed in Tel Aviv, that used to be run by Steve Bannon, is now run by Joel Pollack. That's not what I'm talking about. Totally different organization. I'm talking about the GOAT, Andrew Breitbart. The one who started this citizens journalism phase. And I truly believe without whom you wouldn't see or wouldn't know a lot of the names you've heard of and that you follow and that you watch regularly, that you donate to. But Andrew Breitbart's thing was you never do something for one purpose. And I think Candace has taken on to that. You never take an action for a singular purpose. That was kind of the Breitbart mantra. If you can't take down two people, you don't take down anyone. If you can only take down one person, you strategize and see who else could we take down with this information. My coverage of Rob McCoy, for example, you think that's just designed to inspect Rob McCoy's sermons? No, I've got a whole line of things I'm working on, a whole fleet of information on Calvary Chapel, including locations here in Middle Tennessee, in Brentwood and other places. So this goes deeper. This goes much deeper than a singular story. So when Candace gets an information and gets a whistleblower that says, hey, oh, by the way, there's this multi-agency federal office and it happens to be in Wilmington about a mile away from where this plane keeps parking for no apparent reason, you ought to look into that. Oh, by the way, I think I saw a foreign dignitary being transported there. Here's the type of car it did, and here's where I know it did a license plate switch. Oh, and by the way, and he just keeps adding on. Well, if she's raising it to us, and my hope, my opinion, Candace, baby, tell me this is true. I hope you have more than one target in mind. I hope you have more than one target because this is a big story. This is a big story. So that's two examples, but that's kind of the same style of tweet there, right? Oh, Candace is an idiot. Now, here's the third example I wanted to use. This is Cinema Shogun on X. So the first example I gave you was where somebody just misrepresents using a non sequitur. Here are two facts. I'm telling you they're related, but we know because we're logicians, they're not related at all. Now, here's one that you have to be a little bit of a tactician to understand, or to at least to be able to follow and realize that you don't want to fall into it. I'm 30 minutes into the new Candace Owens episode, and she is now claiming that Charlie Kirk was killed by a military operation filled with guys in maroon shirts riding bulletproof skateboards. Ladies and gentlemen, she said none of those things. And that's the point, isn't it? And this is what I call a shotgun attack. This is not a surgical strike. A shotgun attack, you shoot a large load that covers several feet in hopes that you hit something in the midst of that, like a bird, and you knock it down. That was a poor choice of words. Don't quote me on that. Please don't clip that out and run it on X. I ran that back in my head and thought, that's probably not the greatest choice of language, but you know what I mean. Did she claim Charlie Kirk was killed by a military operation filled with guys in maroon shirts riding bulletproof skateboards? Of course not. Of course not. She said nothing of the sort. Did she comment on the fact that there were guys in maroon shirts? Sure, we commented on that 2 weeks ago on this program. I showed you a picture, and it seemed like every picture that had a suspicious person, including Adam Bartholomew's son, by the way, who was wearing the exact same long sleeve 3-button maroon Henley that Tyler James Robinson was seen wearing. Total coinky dink. A Life is Driving. Also had a black hat on with white writing on it, like Tyler Robinson was wearing. But again, I digress. I'll show you that image if you want to see it, if you've not seen it. There's a very clear picture of Adam Bartholomew. You remember Adam Bartholomew, the Life is Driving video? At first, everybody was fawning all over him because, what good fortune this guy had. He just happened to walk around and film every single relevant subject in the entire Utah Valley University campus that was related to the Charlie Kirk assassination. What good luck this guy had. We wouldn't know any of this stuff turns out we think we know why he might have done that, been able to have such good fortune. But if you watched his son in the video, his son walked in front of the screen a couple times. He was wearing a maroon Henley with 3 buttons, a shirt that's not very common, frankly, a black hat with white writing, exactly the same getup that Tyler James Robinson was wearing that day. Really weird. Really strange. Not that day. Tyler James Robinson was seen in images wearing that. Very, very weird, by the way. I'm not suggesting Life is Driving, Adam Bartholomew, or Liam Bartholomew were involved in any way whatsoever. I would never suggest such a thing. Never suggest such a thing. I'm just saying it's a really strange coincidence. Very fortunate on their part that they were able to do that. So that's kind of attack number 2. Now let me go to attack number 3, because I think this is the most demonic style of attack. And when I say demonic, I truly mean demonic. I don't think most of you guys understand what I mean when I say demonic. I mean, this is where I might lose some of you guys. I get a little weird on this stuff. I mean, I think some of these people are actually controlled by demons, influenced, if not all out controlled. Including, perhaps, in my opinion, the guy I'm about to show you here. Because this attack, I think, is demonic. This is Reverend Jordan Wells. You can see he has a large following, 88,000 followers. Notice the bio here. This is the type of person we're dealing with. He's a pastor, like Rob McCoy is a pastor. He's an apologist. He's a Zionist. He's featured on such dignitaries as Dr. Phil, Fox, Jubilee, and Blexit debates. He's the founder of Christians Against Anti-Semitism Institute. The CAI. We got to work on their abbreviation game. Like APAC flows. APAC flows. Oh, it's APAC. I mean, it just sounds like a word. This is CAAI. CAI. Doesn't flow. Doesn't kind of roll off the tongue. But here's the demonic post. I'm not going to read it in entirety. He starts, here's my problem with Candace Owens. Here is my problem. That's singular, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I think language is important. If I'm going to tell you I have a problem, here is my problem. Here is my singular problem with Candace Owens and why I'm done. I'm going to give you one problem. I'm not going to roll off a list because those are problems, plural. But I don't know what I expected of the good Reverend Jordan Wells. I used to love Candace. Like many of you, I was in the trenches when she was still on YouTube with 12 viewers. I don't believe that. I don't believe he was ever in the trenches when she had 12 viewers. My guess is her friends and family alone made up more than 12 viewers. It's hard to imagine a scenario where this guy knew who she was, but only 11 other people followed her. So he's lying. Now, he might be lying for deliberate effect, but he's lying, and lying is demonic. I joined Blexit because of her. I cheered when she got the big platforms. But I love God more than I love any influencer. And right now, Candace is straight up grieving the Holy Spirit. Well, that's an ugly thing to say. That's an ugly thing to say. The movement that made her famous, she's torching it. How? She's got the #1 podcast in America. In the world, maybe. She's got the #1 podcast. How is she torching anything? The president who invited her to the White House, she's stabbing in the back. He's stabbing us in the back on a lot of issues, sir. I don't owe loyalty to an individual man because I once supported him. Nor do I agree wholeheartedly and 100% with every single person or any single person, not even my wife. I think there are times we disagree on things. Admittedly, not often. She's pretty smart. That was a joke. She's very smart. You'd have to be to agree with me all the time, correct? But I don't agree with anyone all the time. The Pope? Candace? This clown, Reverend Jordan Wells? I don't agree with anybody all the time. But this is an interesting approach because what it sets up, this reminds me of the Josh Hammer opening to the Dave Smith debate at TPUSA. Because what he said is essentially, yeah, I'm not going to address any Dave Smith's comments because Dave Smith doesn't like Donald Trump or he said some ugly things about Donald Trump. What a weird world we live in that you can't address the merits of what somebody is saying. Notice no merits have been addressed yet. Not one time in these however many 80 words or so he's used so far, not one time has he said, here's a position she holds that I don't like. And here's why I don't like it. He's just trashing her. It's not very Christian, Mr. Reverend. The president who invited her to the White House, she's stabbing him in the back. And the one man who took a chance on her when no one else would. I don't know that that's true. I mean, wasn't she working somewhere else before she went to work for Charlie Kirk? Isn't that how she met Charlie Kirk, was in the conservative movement? Is it true that no one else would take a chance on her? Charlie Kirk is barely cold in the ground, and she's monetizing his death like it's content. Sir, his own wife is monetizing his death. And I'm not knocking her. I'm just saying they've raised a lot of money, and she's the CEO of the company. And there have been a lot of people that have personally donated to her and her family. And you're to tell me that somehow, because she runs some mid-roll ads and does some live reads, that she's done on her podcast since she was fired by Ben Shapiro over a year ago, run some mid-roll ads and done some live reads? You're telling me that's somehow specific to Charlie Kirk, like she's running extra ads? Or that she's supposed to not run any ads? Because you know who else is running ads right now? The Charlie Kirk Show. That doesn't feature Charlie Kirk. It uses his name. It's profiting from it. You think anyone's tuning in to see Mikey McCoy and Jack Posobiec? You think anyone's tuning in for that show? I saw 5 people on there today. It looked like an episode of the Flintstones. That's all I got to say. I'm not sure any of them didn't take their Flintstone vitamins that morning. They were having a gay old time. They're monetizing his death, sir. I don't see you complaining. Charlie gave her a stage, gave her a career, gave her a future. Well, then I guess she's entitled to make no money when discussing Charlie at any point ever, under any circumstances, because that's the only specific thing you've complained about so far, is that she runs mid-roll ads and does live reads when doing her podcast, just like she's done for basically her entire career. And her thank you note, slandering his grieving widow. When has she slandered the grieving widow? This is a lie. It's demonic. You are lying. You know you're lying, and you're probably being compensated to lie, i.e., you're profiting off the death of Charlie Kirk. I don't know that for a fact, but probably. That's all I can say. But probably. Now I keep going because that's what I do. I said I wasn't going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to end up reading the whole thing. She is not slandering the grieving widow. Period. End of story. In fact, I think she said up front, like on day 2 after he died, I'm coming for the answer, and the only person who can stop me is my husband and the grieving widow. That's it. I think those are the only 2 people she said on earth who could stop her. Meaning, if the grieving widow wanted her off the case, a simple text message would do. It wouldn't even have to be public. Erica Kirk could text her right now. Hey, Candace, I appreciate all you're doing, but this is making it hard on me. Could you please stop? I mean, if she's good on her word, she would say, you know, Erica, I appreciate that. I told my audience you're one of the only two people who could stop me. And so I'm going to honor that, and I'm going to stop. Have you heard of Erica Kirk asking her to stop? No. Is she slandering the grieving widow? No. The accusation that someone is slandering someone is, in fact, slander. Now, I know it's hard to slander a public profile person, a general purpose public profile person, which I assume Candace Owens would be considered. Oh, boy, I've forgotten my water. I'm in big trouble. I'm going to have to send for water. Hold, please. Mason jar of water, please. Mason jar of water. Oh, gosh. And I'm locked. I'm going to have to put you on hold for a second when I go get it. Accusing his wife, friends, and team of a cover-up. When has she accused the wife of a cover-up, sir? You're lying. When has she accused the wife of a cover-up? You are, in fact, not telling the truth. Spreading wild lies that he hated Israel and was secretly becoming Catholic. That's not her spreading wild lies, and she's never said he hated Israel. Again, sir, you are being demonic. You are lying. That's tough for someone with the name Reverend, whose profile says he is a pastor. When did she say he hated Israel? What she said is he texted that he was left no choice but to leave the Israeli cause, and then she provided proof. Then she provided proof. So that's it. That's it. That is how it worked. So if you're going to say that she's saying he hated Israel, you need to provide a link to that statement. In fact, you need to provide a link to all of these things where she accused his wife of a cover-up. Now, has she accused his friends of a cover-up? Yeah, I think so. Has she done it without, or at least she said it was her opinion. Has she accused his team of a cover-up? Yeah, I think so, probably, on an opinion basis. Never his wife, and that, sir, was a compound accusation. And so that compound accusation means the entire statement is false. Again, a lie. Spreading wild lies that he hated Israel and was secretly becoming Catholic. I don't think it was secret. He was attending Mass on a regular basis. People who went to Mass there have said so. Like she's an anointed prophet who gets to speak for the dead. That's not true. That's not true. When people pass away, thank you. When people pass away, people often speak on their behalf or at least share conversations. Might I point you to Pastor Rob McCoy? Pastor Rob McCoy often speaks on behalf of the dead when he says, Charlie loved me. He called me America's pastor, Charlie couldn't get enough old Robbie the pastor man. That's why I wear my sailor shirt in the pulpit. There might be 1% truth in some conspiracy circles. That's irrelevant. But even if there was 20%, you don't do this to a widow. Again, stop pulling the widow card, Pastor. It's unbecoming of you. Stop pulling the widow card. It's unbecoming of you. Just admit you cannot support anything you're saying, and you're hiding behind a petite blonde because she's your human shield here. You don't think we'll fire at you because you're standing behind her like a coward. You don't drag a broken-hearted wife through the mud for clicks and subs. Well, sir, this is getting a little poetically ridiculous. That's not truth-seeking. That's demonic. That's the word I've been using. You know what's demonic? Lying. Not giving your opinion, lying. That's demonic. That's a violation of the 8th commandment. The pastor should know that. If not, I will point him to the appropriate page of the Bible. I'm a loyal person. Friendship is sacred to me. Apparently that's old-fashioned now. The hell does that mean? You're just puffing yourself up? Filleting yourself here on air? So yeah, I renounce it all. Unfollowing, unsubscribing, done. Sir, you don't have to announce you're leaving. You can just click a button. This is not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Just be gone. Be gone. Candace built her entire brand on personal responsibility. Well, this is hers. Protect the widow. Honor the dead. Fear God. This is the most manipulative, disgusting thing I've seen a pastor do. Hiding behind the widow. Lobbing lies over the widow's shoulder. Erica Kirk's hair flapping in the breeze all over his face. What a disgusting human being. What a disgusting human being. And I understand his purpose here. She's holding a Jerusalem post. She's at the embassy of the United States in Israel. Oh, see, they loved Israel. It's the greatest thing ever. Guys, this is the different type of attack. This is different than, hey, Candace is crazy. Look at all these crazy things she says. This is a demonic attack. Just accusing Candace Owens of being a little crazy is a certain type of attack. It's low budget. It's beneath most people. It's cowardly, sure. But this whole thing here where you're like, how dare you discredit and dishonor the widow? The widow has not asked her to be quiet that I'm aware of. And if the widow has asked her to be quiet, I've not been told. I've not been told. Now, I want to move on. Oh, I referenced this, so I might as well show it. Guys, I don't even know what to say here. There's the Charlie Kirk show. Charlie Kirk passed away 2 months and 11 days ago. It's still on the air. But now apparently there's also the Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec show. You'll notice down here in the lower left. The Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec show. Email us, freedom@charliekirk.com. And you're Pastor, you're telling me that Candace is profiting off this man's death? Look at these 5. I'll point, Pastor, to the guy on the top right, Andrew Colvett, who hosts the Charlie Kirk show, sitting in the studio where Charlie Kirk sat. And I'll point out that that is the guy, when Charlie Kirk died, I will never say this too many times. I will never stop saying this. I don't care how many times you tell me to stop saying this. I will never stop saying this. The man on the top right of your screen, again, weirdly wearing a suit coat with a t-shirt. We're willing to let it pass. That man, when Charlie Kirk passed away, grabbed a text message thread that included Charlie Kirk and some other people. And that text message thread said, I had left no choice but to leave the Israeli cause. And allegedly, he turned it over to the feds. And then he read it aloud on air and admitted that was his text message thread, and he's the one that turned it over. And someone must have leaked it to Candace because he gave it to the feds. That's just, it's the facts as I understand them. If those are wrong, I'm open to correction. Those are the facts as I understand them. So who was the very first person who thought it might be relevant that Israel might have some involvement, or at least Charlie's frustration with Israel might be related to his death? It's that man right there on the Charlie Kirk show. That's the first person who thought it. The man right there on the Charlie Kirk show. And that's also the man there on the top right, if you listened to Candace's show a few days ago, who said, oh, by the way, Candace, you and Tucker are on a list, and you better lay low. That's the man right there on the top right. This allegedly took place on the day or the day after Charlie Kirk passed away. Meaning, Andrew Colvett, that man right there, thought it relevant to Charlie Kirk's death that he warned others who might face a similar predicament, including Tucker and Candace. But yes, Candace is a conspiracy theorist for thinking it might not have been Tyler James Robinson alone in the library with a candlestick. I want you to listen to this and just they're talking about AI, but the subject honestly is really irrelevant. I want you to just listen to this and think, who thought this guy was the future of TPUSA?
About the dangers of AI with young people. And I actually think back to that. There was this kid that committed suicide, and his parents went into his phone after to try to figure out what was going on. And they looked at Snapchat messages, they looked at group chats, and they couldn't figure out why he did this. But then they opened his chat GPT and they found that they basically called it like his suicide coach, that ChatGPT was telling him how to do it, affirming him in his action of depression, like making it worse. And the family actually said, if it were not for ChatGPT, our son would still be alive.
Guys, is there anyone in America who's buying this guy in his present societal role? Is there anyone who's buying this guy in his present societal role? I have to know. I genuinely have to know. Is there anyone who looks at that guy and thinks, yeah, he's living a totally normal life. There's no alternative life this guy's living. He is straight as an arrow when it comes to everything he says and does. Anyone? Because I'm starting to wonder what the hell was going on in TPUSA. Because I didn't watch these shows. I never watched the Charlie Kirk show, I'll be honest. Charlie Kirk wasn't on necessarily my aisle of conservatism. I wasn't a huge Charlie Kirk fan. I respected him. I respected the hell out of him. But I didn't tune into him to hear what he had to say on any given topic because I assumed it was bought and paid for by his donors. And I think to some extent I was probably right. Because the moment he tried to change his mind, he lost his life. So I think I was probably pretty right on that, frankly. But I didn't spend a lot of time watching the Charlie Kirk show. But I've watched a lot of clips here lately because I think, well, is there something I should cover? Is there some information here that I should bring to the audience? And the more I watch this, I think, this is like a San Francisco bathhouse in there. What the hell is going on in this place? This is the most unbelievable conservative organization I've ever seen. Look, I don't judge. I don't kink shame. Y'all have fun. Do what you want to do. But I'm allowed to notice. I'm allowed to tune in and say, why is he talking like that? Why do they all talk like that? What's wrong with this picture? And why are we being told we're the bad conservatives? I have a wrong view on foreign policy, so I'm a bad conservative. I'm what's known as a pacifist. I don't want to fight foreign wars if I can avoid it. If America gets attacked, give me a gun. Let's go to war. Short of that, I don't want to fight a war. Who wants to fight a war? War is hell. War is awful. Have you read All's Quiet on the Western Front? Have you read any war story going back to the Civil War? War is awful. I don't want to be involved in it. I've seen the videos coming out of Ukraine and Gaza. Don't want to be involved in any war. Don't like war. But I'm the bad guy because I think children should be allowed to live. I'm the bad guy because I think women and children shouldn't be run out of their houses while bombs are falling down and their house gets blown to smithereens. That makes me a bad guy. But these guys are like playing the Flintstones theme song on a loop in that place. They have to be. I've never seen anything like it from a conservative organization. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the beards don't fool me. I'm not fooled by the beards. Not fooled. Not fooled at all by them. Okay, some breaking news. Breaking news coming out today. We have a list, or we have a document dump from UVU relative to the request. We finally got the actual documents relative to the request to use UVU for the TPUSA event. And I want to show you this one first. Which one's first? There's one that had the date of the request in on it, and I want to show that one first. Where did it go? It is, here it is. It's this one. This has a FERPA hold on it, on part of it. But I do want to show you this. Because this shows you the original submitted by, and FERPA, for those that don't know, this is the federal law that protects the identity of students. It's why if you have a child in college and you call to get their information, their grades, their schedule, their past due balance, anything at all, they'll tell you to buzz off unless you filed a FERPA waiver. That is where your child, your adult child, goes in and says, I allow my parents to access my information. And you'll have to write down the name of the person. They'll have to pull the waiver out every time you call and make sure you're on there. It's like HIPAA, but for students. Well, it's like the privacy portion of HIPAA, but for students. HIPAA actually had nothing to do with, that's a wild trail we ought to run down one day. The origins of HIPAA and all the problems it's caused. You know why HIPAA was invented? Because a bunch of horny senators were being treated for STDs and they didn't want to get caught. That's it. And drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And they didn't want to get caught. So they made it a crime to release their medical records. And they stuffed it in an act called HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. What that said is if you leave one job and you go to another job, you're entitled to group health coverage. I mean, basically, you can port your insurance coverage from one job to the next. It allowed a little flexibility as the job market was changing in the mid-90s. But then people like Ted Kennedy and Bill Clinton thought, hey, this is an opportunity to hide our sexual history. Let's put that in there. And now HIPAA, because of that, has become a nightmare. But that's a different topic for a different day. This is FERPA, not HIPAA. This is the Federal Education Rights Protection Act, I think is what it's called. But you'll see here, this was submitted by the student. That's what the FERPA hold is right there. That's submitted by the student on July 18, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. So we do now have, this is an official release from the university. So we now have our first official confirmation that is the moment the request was first delivered to the university. I also have the decision document in this release here. But you'll see this is Turning Point USA. It's a club event. You'll see it's a co-sponsored event. I want to know who the other club was because this is a general club event. The club is TPUSA, meaning there was another club. Are you co-sponsoring the event with another club, department, or outside organization? The answer here is yes. I want to know who it was because it said, please list the club. And then that is redacted. Now, it's possible I'm misunderstanding this and that this was either filled out incorrectly by using the yes, or it's the individual student saying, I'm coordinating with the club. Either way, because of the redaction, I don't know, but it reads to me like there was a second club, and I don't know whether that's true or not. Is your event being scheduled by another department? Yes. Again, which department? I don't know those things. So let me back up here because I want to show you this document. This is the date the event was last modified, August 21, 2025. The current event state is tentative, meaning it is not yet officially, in my opinion, the way I look at this, not yet approved. This is August 21, 2025, 10:52 a.m., and it is not yet approved. Here is the website, and it says one specific for UVU will be created once the event is approved. So it's not yet approved. They get an event occurrence. This is going to be 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's reserved for 2 hours on either side of that window, and it is for the Student Center Courtyard. So this is the first official, this is the farthest back we can say that they were requesting to host this at the Student Center Courtyard. Now, I believe this is filled out by the student group. Notice here, this is critical to me. I wish I could zoom in more on this, but I cannot. This says head count expected 200. Why is that important? How many police officers would you need for a crowd of 200? How many police officers would you need for a crowd of 3,000? And let me tell you, from a security perspective, this matters. Anytime you file one of these, you have to answer this question. Now, you could say 200 if it was in an indoor facility and it was crowd controlled. You had to go through a magnetometer, or you had to go at least through a door, and there were only so many seats, and the fire marshal said, we're capping this at 200. Then you'd be able to say we expect 200. That amphitheater looked to me like it comfortably seated 2,000, maybe more. And plus, you had people standing in the stairwells. You had people standing on the balconies and the rooftops. You had people standing in the grass, in the bushes, apparently. That was a comfortable place for people to stand in maroon shirts and bushes, as we covered on the show a couple weeks ago. But this is important to me. When I looked at this, I thought, well, that's a oversight. Because if I'm UVU and I'm approving this, and it says the expected head count is only 200, I approach the event differently than if it says the expected head count is 2,000 or more. And when you're on the ground and you're protecting the event, the principle of the event, and you realize instantly that the event has more than 200 people, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before the event even starts, you pull out the sheet and you say, well, crap, they told us only 200 people were going to be here. We're undermanned. Because I think they said they only allocated 5 or 6 officers. Well, this might be why. This might be why they only allocated 5 or 6 officers. It might not have been a fault of the UVU police at all, like Brian Harpole tried to blame them. It might be an event of TPUSA or whoever filled out this document saying only 200 people would be there. There's no way in the world someone looked at that courtyard and said we only expect 200 people. There's no way in the world. Now, maybe UVU put the 200 in there. But either way, somebody should have looked at that courtyard and thought, no, that's not right. So I think whoever put 200 here needs to be strongly questioned. Strongly questioned. Now, here are the resources. They've asked essentially for 5, in contract, you call this the level of effort. How many FTEs are you going to need? How many people are you going to need on that day? And you would need essentially an FTE to go from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's 11 hours. What resources do we need? We need 1 event setup staff, 1 person. MapLink, major event assessment committee, service provider, facilities, ground service provider. Now, maybe this is multiple people within this, but the way I was reading this is I need 1 from each of these units. I need 5 people, which is absolutely ludicrous for this number of people. Now, this was printed on August 21, 2025, which means if they requested the most recent one and it didn't change, then this is the form it is currently in today. Again, this is event less modified. Is this a repeat? Yeah, this is a repeat of the exact same document. Or awfully close, because this was printed on 1053. This one was printed in 1054. But they look like the same to me. There's one more document here. Here we go. This is the American Comeback Tour. They've got the event date. They've got the event start time and end time. They specify it's in the courtyard. And then the event description. Charlie Kirk will join the TPUSA chapter at UVU for a free event on campus to open dialogue about current happenings in the world. This event description will be published on the event calendar and UVU app. You are inviting one of the most desirable tickets in America for a college student. He never had an event with only 200 people. Not outside. Not in the last several years. My 15-year-old, when we found out he died, was devastated. I was listening. It's amazing how these young people listen to these social media influencers. I got in the truck one day, and I'd been listening on YouTube to a Michael Knowles podcast, and it came up when I got in the truck, and she's like, "Are you listening to Michael Knowles?" I was like, "How do you know who that is?" "Oh, I listen to him all the time." I thought, wow, okay, good. Continue. You may continue to listen to devout Catholics give podcasts. I'm okay with this. Is the event open to the public or for club members only? Public. Online ticketing? Yes. Off-campus ticketing? Yes. Please provide the link. Here's your link. It'll be specific once it is. What's the maximum number of tickets you are selling, reserving? Unsure. Unsure. So the only thing we know as of the date these documents were printed, which appeared to be, they're actually bait stamped here. This is number 4, but this date is cut off. But based on these other dates, I think it is all the same. Yeah, this is bait stamp number 3. We've already covered this one. So based on this document, here's what we know. Here's what we know about this request. At least on July 18th, a request went in to reserve UVU facilities on behalf of TPUSA to bring in one of the hottest stars in social media influencing for college students, a man who drew massive crowds anytime he went on a college campus, Charlie Kirk. So that's one fact we know. Fact number 2. Somebody estimated, no. Let me do that one as fact number 3. Fact number 2. This was going to be a public event open to members of the public, not required to be a UVU student, not required to be a member of the club. An off-site ticketing service will be used that UVU will have no control over. We know it's in the courtyard, so there's no crowd control on who can come and go. There's no singular gate people have to walk through. We know that. People could bring in bags. People could bring in weapons. I mean, we saw a guy running through the crowd with a handgun, for example. Looked like a student. No control whatsoever. No controlled access whatsoever. And they were unsure of how many tickets they were going to issue. And the university was like, oh, yeah, sure. What if they'd issued 20,000 tickets? 50,000? What if they'd have done that? If you're UVU, don't you want some assurance that they're not going to do that? Because they're using an off-campus ticketing environment that you have no control over, an off-campus ticketing platform. You have no control over this off-campus ticketing platform. You have no idea. And you have put on, this is fact number 3. So fact number 1, at least by July 18th, we know there was a request. That's the earliest we know a request came in. Fact number 2, it's not controlled access. It's an outdoor event and any member of the public can come. And we've put no limits on how many people you can sell tickets to. And we have no control over it. So that's fact number 2. It's a compound fact, but it's all related. Fact number 3. On the list, on the sheet, we've estimated 200 people will show up. There ain't a person in their right mind right now who would say, that sounds like an accurate estimate. That's an accurate estimate. That seems to be about the number of people we expect. Nobody would say that when Charlie Kirk is coming to a conservative campus to kick off an annual tour, an annual college tour, the first stop in Utah, of all places. My goodness, that's like 97% Republican. There's like 3% of Utah thought about voting for Joe Biden. And you put 200 people, so anybody reading that would then look at it and say, I don't think we need that many police officers. I mean, you're certainly not going to do like 1 to 3 people. You're not going to give them 50 officers if only 200 people are showing up. But you might need 50 officers if 5,000 people are showing up. We keep using this number 3,000. I don't know where that number came from. I have actually used ChatGPT and Grok and Claude to estimate the crowd size based on overhead pictures. The number comes back every single time higher than 3,000. If I get really bored one day, I quit drinking so I don't pass the time like I quite used to. Years ago, 3 years ago, almost 3 years. But if I get really bored one day, maybe there's a good podcast going, or maybe a new album comes out and I want to listen to it for the first time all the way through uninterrupted, I will pull it out and attempt to count the people. I'll put it in some sort of software where I can put a white dot on every head so I know I've counted them. And then I'll upload that and say, Claude, how many white dots are there? Regardless, UVU, according to this, had no plan, nor did TPUSA seem to have a plan for how many people were going to be there and what level of effort was needed to staff the facility. No one was able to answer that question. I think that is absolutely shocking. I do want to give credit here. I found this from a guy named Camelot Jack. I don't follow Camelot Jack. He came up in my I'll show it again here. And there it is. Camelot Jack 1963. This is not something I requested. I don't even know if it's something he requested. I think it is. But Camelot Jack is a small guy, but he's doing the Lord's work out there, somehow tracking down these documents. So showed up in my feed, and I thought, wow, this is relevant. This is relevant. So that's two things. Here's the third thing I want to say, and here's why I have this free speech hat on. Anytime you put yourself out there on a platform, you can expect really three reactions from any individual person. You can expect someone to like you, dislike you, or be indifferent. Like you, dislike you, or be indifferent. Those are really the only three reactions you kind of expect when you open up a channel and you do a platform. I'm no different. When I started doing this and I started putting myself out there, I assumed I wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea. I wiggle a lot. I yell a lot. I'm louder than the average podcaster. I think that comes from being on radio. I'm going to go back to that in just a second. But there are some people I figured who might like my presentation, my style, the type of information I cover, my sense of humor. I don't like everyone I see, but I want them to have the ability to speak. I'll give you an example. And it's not that I dislike this person. I just heard he was talking trash about me. And so I haven't been following him as closely as I once did. This is Gary from Paramount Tactical. Gary's probably a fine person. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him. But I don't like this. He said his live streaming has been disabled on his YouTube account, and I don't like that. No explanation, no option to contest or appeal. Can you explain YouTube? I will say this. I have watched many Paramount Tactical videos over the years. I've learned quite a bit from him. He covers a lot of things I don't. For some reason, during this Charlie Kirk thing, he got a little adverse with some things I said on this channel, and that's fine. It's his right. But I would never want someone I agree or disagree with to have their live streaming rights disabled on any platform. He seems like a prepared guy. He's got a great production going on. He's streaming live on X. He's streaming live on Facebook. He's streaming live on Rumble. And if you like Paramount Tactical after this program, don't leave. Don't leave for him. Have some class. But anyway, at some point, go over there and give him a follow, give him a like. It'll help bring his stuff to the top of people's feeds. Again, I say this even as someone who has, I don't want to say been attacked by this, well, maybe been attacked by this guy. Certainly the guy tells people I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes. And I don't think he understands what I'm saying because it doesn't sound like he consumes my content. Now, I want to show you a map of the UVU campus, and I will explain in a moment why I'm showing it to you, but I want to pull it up from a particular angle because I think I'm onto something, and I can't tell you why yet, but I think I'm onto something here. Here's the UVU campus. I'll zoom in here. This is the amphitheater where Charlie Kirk was. This is the water feature where you saw people jumping into the water. It's interesting for me to note this looks like a giant arrow pointing to right where I think the gunman probably was who took a shot at him. That's interesting to me, to say the least, but not relevant to this discussion. If you back this up, this is a large campus. So this right here, this group of trees right here, these are the trees where the rifle was found, for example. I'm just helping you get your bearings. This is the corner of the roof where Spider-Man jumped down afterwards. This is the parking lot where the white car turned in right after the shot, stopped right here until our gunman started walking towards the street and then turned up the parking lot and headed out. This right here is where I posted on X a video of a car doing a partial U-turn. I don't think I have that pulled up right now, or I would show it to you. I have it open on an open tab somewhere, but I'm not sure where it is. But this is where that was. I'm just giving you your bearings here. This is the neighborhood here where Phil Lyman's car was, for example. This is the dirt where you could see the alleged shooter running behind some houses. So I'm just giving you your bearings. A lot of effort was spent to draw people's eyes over here, in other words. And I kept thinking to myself, if this is an op, and I'm spending tremendous effort to draw people's eyes to the northeast side of campus, what might I be doing on the rest of the campus? Is there anything else interesting about the campus? So this is just me. I spend a lot of time doing this. This is me staring at the ceiling, letting my thoughts go. I spend time like this a lot. And I visualize in my head. I wish I could show you. I wish I could disconnect. It'd be too big of a pain in the butt to move my camera. But I wish I could show you what my wall looks like up there. It's kind of those walls that do this. And then there's a vaulted ceiling, they call it. There's a vaulted ceiling, and I've got sound deadening panels all over the room so that you guys get some measure of sound quality out of here. But I look at this vaulted ceiling in front of me, and I visualize. It's like I hallucinate almost. I visualize up there. I do it for work. I'll sit there like this for work, and I'll think of contract terms. And I start thinking, how do those go together? What do they mean? And I'm not looking at a computer screen. I'm just looking at the ceiling, looking at a wall. I was looking at the wall today, as a matter of fact. I was staring up, and I was thinking, why do they keep drawing our attention to the northeast side of the campus? Why, for example, did they have the alleged shooter running through a neighborhood when there were all kinds of places to park all over campus? I mean, the guy allegedly came onto campus pretty early, or at least could have. Why did he park on the other side of a neighborhood where we'd have to pass all these Ring doorbell cameras? That doesn't make any sense to me. He might have passed a Tesla and somebody would have a camera rolling. Dash cams are very popular. He passes a Ford F-150 with a dash cam. He's dead to rights. Why would a shooter who supposedly as smart as Tyler James Robinson risk all of that? In fact, he did get picked up by surveillance cameras on people's homes. I'm sure as a convenience. Why would he ditch the gun on the northeast side of campus? Again, this is, for those of you that don't know direction, northeast is upright. So all this is taking place right up here on the northeast side of campus. This is the parking lot he ran through right here. This is the building he allegedly shot off of. This is the tree line where the gun was found. This is the neighborhood he allegedly ran through. All this attention on the northeast side of campus. And as I'm looking at my ceiling, I think, they're trying to hide something. I'm convinced the guy didn't do it alone. So there's no way he did it alone. So they're trying to hide something that took place on the rest of campus. Now, what are some things that took place? Now, he obviously didn't care if his car was seen. He stopped and got gas. He drove through the neighborhood that has, you cannot drive through a neighborhood in the year 2025 and not be picked up on a camera. So he didn't care to avoid cameras. So if it's a camera thing, why not just drive on campus and park on campus? Why not just get there early enough to park in this lot? Then you don't have to ditch your gun. You just drive off. I mean, there's a zillion. You couldn't possibly think you were going to get away with it in a car with your phone in your pocket. Because remember, the reason he was caught at the video store, or whatever that was, where he was, and I have that video too, where he pulled up and then drove off, and the white car got behind him and they drove off together. The reason he was picked up there is because his phone was pinging. His phone was pinging. So it's not like he thought he was being undetected. So why, if you're going to go through all of this to ditch the gun, walk through a neighborhood, get in your car. What were you going to just drive? I mean, I don't even know where you were going to put your car to run in and get the gun. You literally just shot somebody allegedly from this building right here. You're telling me you thought the right plan was to jump off of it, ditch the gun here, go to your car, and then drive your car back, presumably to here, and what, park it on the side of the road and run into the trees and get your gun? You didn't think that was going to draw any attention? Pull in this parking lot next to the building you just jumped off of and run into the trees across the street, across a 3-lane highway and get your gun and tote it back across this? It doesn't make any sense. Why are they drawing our attention to the northeast side of this campus? And then Candace mentioned the rental cars, and I started thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed this. I can't believe I missed this. There were lots of cars that day because this was a big operation. She's mentioned 4 or 5 cars. There could have been more. Where would I have parked? Then I started thinking, where would I have parked? I operate under the assumption that every parking lot on this campus is covered with a camera. This parking lot, this parking lot, this parking lot. If I'm part of this operation and I need to walk into position to become part of this operation, I assume every square inch of this is covered with a camera. And I think I'm probably right. It's a college campus. I would love to see the image of Mikey walking. See, Mikey walked down this walkway here. I would love to see the image of him walking and getting into a vessel in this parking lot. But I wouldn't, if I was involved and I didn't want to be seen, I wouldn't park on any of these parking lots here because I would assume with a shooting on the UVU campus as high profile as Charlie Kirk, they would look at every available camera and find every anomaly. They would run every license plate and you would eventually get busted. But I might park over here. I might park over here next to the National Guard building. I might park over here next to this shopping center, the boot return. I might park over here next to this apartment complex. I might park over here next to this shopping center. And then I might just walk on this pedestrian bridge and just walk across to the UVU campus. That might be what I would do. I might get there early enough that I just walk down, and now I'm a pedestrian on campus. And I just look like anybody else. And I wear glasses, and I wear a hat. Maybe I put on a fake mustache. And now I can just move about campus, and I'm completely unknown. And no one's even looking this direction because we're all focused up here in the northeast corner, looking for every available clue in this area right here where Phil Lyman's family lives. We're looking all up here where Phil Lyman's family lives. This grove of trees, these streets, the cars that were in this neighborhood. And nobody's looking over here across Interstate 15 at what's going on in any of these places back here. Look at all these places you could dump a car and walk onto campus. I don't even know what buildings these are. But now you've opened up from, instead of the only thing they have to do is track down the cameras on campus to look for cars or license plates, you open it up to where they have to go in and look at every car in these church parking lots. That's a nice building. What is that? That's beautiful. Oh, it's a temple. It's gorgeous. These church parking lots, these apartment parking lots, these industrial lots, these shops. We've got could be a school or some sort of, I mean, you see what I'm talking about here? You could park in any of this area up here and with the right amount of planning, have someone drop you off or just walk over to the pedestrian bridge and boom, you're on campus without being seen. And I bet you, if I had to bet my bottom dollar, I would bet a lot of people got on campus that way. Look, I have no evidence. I do actually have some evidence for this, but I can't tell you what it is yet. But I do have some evidence that this pedestrian bridge may play a role. This pedestrian bridge over the 15 might play a role. So stay tuned for that. If you guys, I mean, there's no way. What are you going to go back and tell people to look at their cameras from 70 days ago to see if you don't even know what kind of cars you're looking for? I would be very curious if there were cameras on this pedestrian bridge. Or cameras looking near that pedestrian bridge. Or cameras in this parking lot. I've zoomed in and it's just not good enough imagery for me to tell if they're like, is that a camera? What is that right there? Is that a camera? I can't tell. That looks like a street light because, I mean, look at the shadow coming off that thing. But and I don't live in Utah, so I can't just run over there and look. But I would be very curious on this lot in particular. Are there cameras on here? And then if so, how long is that data stored? Because if that data is stored back to September 10th, I think that lot in particular might be very interesting to look at. I think that might be very, very interesting to look at. All right. Now, let me run through some of these. I said last show I was going to make a $5 limit on super chats and stickers to be read. So I may stick with that tonight and see how long it takes to get through them. I might have to go up to 10. I just can't spend an hour and a half every show. I mean, I can. New to your podcast, saw the BS Detector cast, and thank you for the laughs and truth. Been sharing your podcast on X. Thank you. Tonight might not have been the bundle of laugh that some of the other ones were, but thank you and welcome to the podcast, and thank you for the very generous donation. Spatogo 89701. I always wonder what your numbers mean. I always make up a story in my head. Like you were, wait a minute. You got a wrench. You need to add the height button. Don't know how. I'll look into that. Here, let me take a picture. I don't know how. There we go. Picture taken. We're good. Height button incoming. Nemi. Congratulations on being the #1 Nashville-based semi-ginger cross-fitting lawyer with 8 kids podcaster in the world. Gray beard crew checking in. Keep up the work, brother. I always said I was going #1, baby. I knew it. I was talking to somebody the other day about how many podcasts are based in Nashville. We named a bunch. Now, not just all political, but I mean just music podcasts, fitness podcasts, obviously political podcasts with the Daily Wire being here and Candace being here, and I think Michael Wilbon's based out of here. A lot of it here. But yes, I am #1. And I don't know about semi-ginger. I saw the arguments I've seen it over several shows, whether my hair is red, dirty blonde, sandy blonde, brown. I don't know what. Now, I will assure you that at one time, this beard was red. Yeah, some people have redder beards than their hair. This beard was red, but it is long since past red. Found your YouTube. Wow, Sparky, thank you very much. Very generous donation. Found your YouTube recently. Love your content and delivery style. Smart with a bit of snark. A lot of snark, be honest. Going to see Megyn Kelly tomorrow night. Want to get in the question line. What should I ask her? Thanks, and keep going, Max. What would I, for $50, what would I ask Megyn Kelly? I'm curious. Megyn Kelly, what is she, 50, 55 years old probably? She's not 60 yet. So she's been at this 35 years. I think I would ask her for a brief. I got a lot of W, so let me spitball out loud here for a second, and I'll come up with a question, but I got to talk it out. I'm curious what the environment is like, the hostility maybe, towards citizen journalism now versus what it was when she started. For example, When she started, the only real citizen journalists out there were people like Alex Jones on public access TV, or people that had their own newsletter, or people like the Drudge Report. Very small operations that just kind of, a lot of political letters were this way, where they had, they would have a mailing distribution list, and you pay $10 a month to be on the list or something, and they would send you a number 9 envelope or number 10 envelope with a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in it, really. And that's how like independent news media got circulated back then. I would be very curious, in the age of podcasting, video, some of the production quality. I was talking to a friend of mine who does podcasts or does online content. He named the place that he's bringing in, or the some of the other podcasters they've worked for, or some of the other shows they worked for. You've got people producing content out of their house that are bringing in legitimate studio builders to build out a room of their house. Like people that have built out studios for household names. And I'm always fascinated by that. So I would be curious, it's too cheap and easy to ask her a question about Israel, to ask her a question about Republicans or Trump. People expect that. That's old hat. You want to make people sit up and listen? Make her think. Come up with a question about that, about the difference in opinion of the people, the citizens who are out there doing citizen journalism from back then versus now. And is it more hostile towards them because now we have a bigger influence? I'll give you I went head to head against Ben Shapiro's channel the other night. You guys didn't know this, but for Wednesday night, my live went live at the exact same time that their live went. We had 3 times as many people on our live as they had. And by the next morning, we had 4 times the views they had. I think when I woke up the next morning, it was like 68,000 views, and they were at like 17,000. It's not supposed to be that way. And I can assure you, the establishment doesn't like that I can grab a soundboard, some processing equipment, some headphones, a nice 4K camera, and an internet access and beat them 4-1. They don't like that. And I'm curious what Megyn Kelly's thoughts are on something like that. Great question. Have fun at the show. Megyn Kelly's great. Should probably be great live. Real Bays, $9.99. How come more attention hadn't been placed on Rick Cutler smiling over Charlie Kirk while he was bleeding out? And what do you think about the theory that Dan Flood was involved, but not Brian Harpole? Taking the questions in order, people make weird faces. I am not on the Rick Cutler train. Again, I'm open to being convinced about anything. You've got to convince me. You have to convince me. I'm not going to convince myself. But I mean, you're in a weird situation. Sometimes people make weird faces. Second one, until someone can explain to me, let me pull up the picture. Until someone can explain to me why Dan Flood was doing this. Oh gosh, I almost shut this show down. Sorry, guys. Until someone can explain to me why Dan Flood was doing this at the exact moment a shot rang out that killed the guy he was standing next to. I've never seen anyone make that movement in real life. I've been alive 45, almost 46 years. I've never seen anybody do this in real life without trying to make some kind of signal. So someone's I start with the presumption that everyone's innocent. This rebutts that presumption for me to him, in my opinion. Like, if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, you have to go on a podcast and explain what that means. You have to issue a statement on X and say what that means. You need to issue a press release since you are a TPUSA employee, one of the most highly paid TPUSA employees. You should issue a press release from TPUSA that says, when the shot rang out, my left hand was open and touching my right arm, and here's why I was doing that. It's not acceptable that you say you don't know, because that's not normal. That's not a natural move, sir. No one does that. No one does that. That's not natural. And it's not just bad luck that you're the first person in the history of humanity, billions and billions and billions of people have lived over thousands of years, and you're the very first person that's ever done that. And it just happens to be so unlucky that you're the very first person that's ever done that at the time the guy you're protecting gets shot in the neck. That is not going to cut it with me. Am I saying he's definitively involved? No. But in my opinion, I need an explanation for what that is. I need an explanation for that. That move right there. That's what I think about the theory that Dan Flood was involved. Now, do I think Brian Harpole was involved? I think he gave a really crappy interview, but I mean, some people give crappy interviews. Some people give crappy interviews. I don't know. Amanda Van Allen. The Van Allen radiation belts. You've written in before. Has anyone taken the height of the Losi building along with the height of the lamp pole to determine the height of the Spider-Man? I know a lot of people have said Spidey is taller, but it hasn't been proven. That's a great idea. I've not seen that, but I could probably do that on... I'm not going to do that live, but I could probably do that on Google Earth. I did do the height of the Losi Center, and I think it was like 16 point something feet, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and look. Where can we buy some Go Max hats, Baron? We need an RBP shop yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on Free Speech Hat today. But I'm not above turning it into a Go Max hat. I mean, I could do that. Oh, did I give the game away? Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry if I let too much mystique out behind the curtain. Pay no attention to what's going on behind the curtain. Whew. I'm working on that, honestly. I was talking to somebody about that this week, about getting some hats printed up. I like hats, big hat guy. I think hats are the best place to send a message because it is right over your eyes. People look at your eyes, they cannot, hey, excuse me, sir, eyes up here. My eyes are up here. But when you're wearing a hat, it's like my eyes are down here. My eyes are down here. Working on it. Now, I don't know if this violates the $5 rule because I don't know what an L-buck is worth. So I don't know if this violates the $5 rule. Whoa, saying ugly words. Feel like I got bamboozled by this and didn't get $7K. Thank you for your response in emails. That's why you get paid the big bucks. Oh, were you one of the people that responded to me? I had a lot of, not a lot. I had several people email me like, Candace got hosed. Candace got tricked. And I responded to like 5 of them, and then I finally stopped. And I was like, tell me how she got hosed. I was willing to learn. Look at this. She knew the $5 rule. Melissa Gladstone. Nothing gets by you, girl. Nobis PAS teacher, Costa Mesa, California. Debbie Gladstone, my mother. You just doxed your mom. Refused to report CP I found on my computer at 12 years old. I don't know what any of that. Cheese pizza? Reported multiple X to CMPD. Man, I don't know what all that means. Like, I need a decoder ring. I got to drink my Ovaltine and get a decoder ring to interpret that. Okay. I wish you luck. Let me see here. Life is Driving kid had a maroon shirt on, I believe, and he did too. Life is Driving confirmed on X not long ago. I have a hunch the maroon shirt tip is big. I thought so. That's something we talked about on this program a couple weeks ago. It seemed like everybody noteworthy had on a maroon shirt. Or everybody doing weird stuff had on a maroon shirt. Let me say that. The judge is here. Good morning, sir. Or good evening, depending on where you live. Cindy Yates, hopefully helicopter going to Vanderbilt, not looking for you. It sounded like it was coming from the east and going west, if I had to guess. So that would, unless it's taking a weird trip to Vanderbilt, that ain't going to get there. That's going to end up in Memphis before it gets to Vanderbilt. Love you and Candace. Glad you're here tonight. What does your firm think about your CK podcast? Do you think there's something to this like we do? I cannot comment. But game recognizes game. That's all. Look, I'm not going to comment. But they love it. All right. Age poll 49 here. My boyfriend 62. He introduced me to your show and is our favorite show to watch together. I don't know what that. Oh, you wanted people to say how old they were? I already told you how old I am. I'm 45. I'm glad you guys watch it together. And I'll be honest. People tell me when you say things like "you're my favorite" or "I like you and so," or "I like you and you and you and so," it's so humbling to be included in some of those names you guys are mentioning. My goodness, never would have thought I would have heard that. So, Candace is lawyers in Tennessee, but may have needed a Delaware address since the lawsuit was filed there. That's not how it works, Jody. I've been involved in these types of lawsuits before, where you have to hire somebody from another state. It's called Pro Hoc Vice, PRO space HAC space VICE. Pro Hoc Vice, what you do is you actually hire a local counsel and they vouch for you as the out-of-state lawyer. They vouch for you and you file some paperwork. I've been Pro Hoc Vice in 11 states, New York, California, Kansas, North Carolina, Ohio, Virginia, Georgia. I've been Pro Hoc in a lot of states. Usually you get permission from the Supreme Court of that state to work on like one case or one case only in your life. Sometimes it's like one case every 2 years. But you get Pro Hoc'd in and you remain a part of the case as the out-of-state lawyer. So I don't know if this would happen, but this is how I can imagine it happen. The Tennessee lawyer Pro Hoc's into Delaware. The Delaware lawyer vouches for the Tennessee lawyer. The Tennessee lawyer fills out some paperwork and promises to abide by all local court rules and all Delaware Supreme Court rules and all Delaware bar rules and decorum. And then the Supreme Court says you may work on this one case. And your local lawyer, your local Delaware lawyer, also signs the pleadings, and you also sign the pleadings. I'm actually serving as local counsel on a case that involves two Pro Hoc lawyers from out of state, from New Jersey and New York. So it happens, right? This is not unusual. So that's option A. Option B, her Tennessee lawyer might actually be licensed in Delaware, but just wanted some help. Option C, her Tennessee lawyer is not signing the pleadings, and only the Delaware lawyer is, but the Tennessee lawyer is staying involved. Either way, your Delaware lawyer is not simply a pass-through. The local counsel in a Pro Hoc Vice arrangement has to be involved. You have to be aware of what's going on. You have to consent to having your name on the pleadings, meaning I've reviewed the pleadings and I agree that the things in here are accurate as far as we know them. And so I'm not buying this argument that I see on Twitter or on X or whatever we're calling it these days. I'm not buying this argument that the Delaware lawyer is irrelevant to the inquiry. That's not true. That's not how the legal system works. So I hope you got your $6 worth of law school right there. $5, whatever you just paid. I emailed you info on Pastor Calvary Chapel in Columbia. I got that email, Jolie Ollie. I got that email and read it in full, every word. Family has deep military ties, sketchy all around. Lots of death, too, by the way. Don't leave that out. Please do a full episode on Calvary Chapel. Working on it, sir. You're doing God's work. Middle Tennessee is top tier. Watch out for Black Hawk helicopters. Baron. Why are you guys capitalizing the middle R? Oh, one R? I've seen a few of you doing that. We do have a lot of Black Hawk helicopters, but they usually go that way because they're flying from Huntsville to Clarksville. You guys don't know which way I'm pointing, but I'm pointing that way. That way. They're flying Huntsville to Clarksville, which is that way. This one seemed more like it was going that way, like it was flying. I don't want to give too much away about where I am. Super sticker, thank you. Woofy, $12. MTG just announced their resignation because of Trump and lack of action from Speaker Johnson. Is that true? Wow. Resigned from Congress in January. I'll pull this up. We can read it together. Oh, don't start rolling a video. Come on. That is low budget. These people, anything for clicks, right? All right, here we go. Let's read together. Let's all be edified, shall we? Representative Marjorie, this is ABC News. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says she will resign from Congress in January. She made the announcement on X Friday. This is Dateline, doesn't have a dateline, but 7:50. Doesn't tell you where it was written. Georgia Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced Friday she's resigning from Congress next year, effective January 5th, 2026. The bombshell development comes a week after President Donald Trump withdrew his support for Green, one of his staunchest allies, after she criticized him and his administration for their handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, along with other matters. In a 4-page statement announcing her resignation posted on X, Green repeatedly addressed her recent falling out with Trump. This must be big because she is elected to office until January of 2027. So it's not like she's just refusing to run again. She's leaving. She's leaving. That and look, Congress is a really cushy job. You get a nice big expense budget. You get a, upper middle class American salary. You got a nice bully pulpit. Was she there long enough to qualify for the pension? Congressional pension length. How long do you have to be there? You have to serve 5 years of service to qualify for it at age 62. Was she there 5 years? MTG. How long did she serve? She's not very old. She's a CrossFitter. She assumed office. Busted. Principle only goes so far, ladies and gentlemen. You can't bully me. I quit. But let me serve 5 years and 2 days first. Let me make sure I get my pension. How old is she? She's 51. So in 14 years, she'll get her pension, which will be worth about $150,000 a year, I think. That's hilarious. Madam Congresswoman, if you're so aggrieved, why not go ahead and resign today? Do share. The microphone's all yours. Oh, you don't want to answer. Oh, okay. That's hilarious. That is awesome. All right, madam. Okay, so you see how the game works. I got principles. You can't bully me around. Let me hang out for another couple of months, though, so I can get my pension in 14 years. And I can live off the government teat for the duration of my adulthood. That's great. That is just classic Congress critter behavior. And I don't even dislike her. That's the thing. I don't dislike Marjorie Taylor Greene. Game recognizes game. You want to go that route, girl? That's you. You do you, boo-boo. Life is Driving is playing the I have nothing to hide tactic by being way too eager to confront people and run his mouth. He seems pretty worried. I mean, he could not have had a worse performance on this program. If you have not seen that, you need to go. Maybe I'll clip that out and post it on as its own separate clip. If you've not seen that, it's wild. That dude was wild on air. NAR candidate running for California governor is a faith leader, Cheon. Cheon is their name. Their name? Plural pronouns? Sir? Now I got to know. Is it a he or a she? Or can we tell? I think that's a he. Maybe they. Maybe they was a strategic decision. Okay, I'll check into it. Canada here. Can't watch live tonight. Just checking in to show my support. I'll catch up tomorrow. Go Max. Well, let me tell you, 638-pound tuna is a big tuna. I mean, that's a massive tuna. It's huge. Absolutely huge. Cindy Yates, it's almost unreal how these so-called men of God, pastors, are so judgmental. More talking about everything and everyone besides God, not very Christian. Ma'am, I tend to agree. There's a couple of pastors out there doing this right now. Can't think of who's the real popular one that's doing it. Oh gosh, I can't remember what his name was. There's one of these, Mark Driscoll. Is that his name? Is he a pastor? Yeah, evangelical author and pastor. I think he's the one on X. I could probably pull up his feed. This dude's saying some wild stuff about Candace and others. I don't understand it. Like, I attack people who attack people, or I attack people who lie. Oh gosh, no. When you look up Mark Driscoll, that may not be him. When you look up Mark Driscoll, you get some wild stuff written about him, buddy. People hate him. Oh yeah, this is him. This is him. He all right, yeah. Let me show you this. This is a great good. See, Cindy, the role of a good commenter is to make the host look good. You are making the host look good because now I get an opportunity to share some of this wild stuff here. People actually believe that Candace Owens is really the only person who cares about what happened to Charlie Kirk. What about his wife? What about all his friends? Everyone who's close to him. Well, some of them might have been responsible for his death, so we'll exclude them. We'll pull them to the side. We'll examine the rest of them. I'm sure they love Charlie Kirk. But who is saying Candace Owens is the only person who cares about what happened to Charlie? No one's saying that. Literally, no one's saying that but you. You're saying that people are saying that. No one's saying it. And why? What? Did a directive go out? Like, did BB send out an email or something that said everybody mention the wife? Why is everyone mentioning the wife all of a sudden? What does this guy's profile say? Oh, just Pastor Mark. Getting 5 and 6-star reviews since 96. I don't even know what that means. Flawed but faithful. I'll give you that. I'll give you the flawed part. I'll definitely give you the flawed part. Yep, I called it. Called it. Nothing. No one hits like squeals like a hit dog. For those of you lonely little weirdos who keep leaving Mark got his $6,000 checks from Israel in the comments, rest assured I'm a lot more expensive than that. No, sir, we don't believe you. I don't believe for a second you're more expensive than that. I've seen you. I watched you. I was able to recall your name. That's how much I know. Truth of AIDS, $50. So generous. You guys are so unbelievably generous. Can we talk about how Life is Driving said his wife was there but never makes an appearance? Never shows up. I wanted his original footage. Never got a response after your interview with him. Liam shows in Google Trends. Liam was wearing a maroon shirt. Hey, here's my thing about Life is Driving. I don't remember the timestamp, but he's sitting off. It's when he's sitting off to the left. He's in that same angle, maybe back a little farther, but where he captures Terrell Farnsworth taking the SD cards out of the video, so you'll know where he was when I'm telling you the story. He gets on the phone. It's like around the 20-minute mark, 25-minute mark, somewhere in there. He gets on the phone and he says, yes, he got out. Yes, he got out, and he's looking for you. I assumed at first he was talking about his kid. And then, he turns around and his kid's right there. So who the hell was he talking about? Who got out? Who was he looking for? The person who got out, who was that person looking for? I think we deserve an explanation of that. And don't tell me it's your son. Because your son is literally not far from you, not too terribly long after you say that. He didn't get out. He was still very much right there. So maybe he's talking about his son, and I'm very confused. I mean, I guess that's possible. Anything's possible. Thank you for the generous donation. Lydia Peterson, influenced by dark forces equal demons. Yeah, I'll give you that. Do I think Erica is one of her informants, Daniel Ortega? I thought about it. One of Candace's? I've thought about it. That would be devious, wouldn't it? That would go with my impression of this, that she's just terrified. That would go with my impression that she's absolutely terrified. That she is, that she's one of the informants. Do you know why the Flints... Man, why do you guys... Do you know why the Flints, Tenness, and Co. cannot speak about it contractually? Oh, Flintstones cannot speak about it contractually. I found it in my first document search, so I'm confused when people ask why they aren't. Are you asking them to say it, or do you not know? Cannot speak about what? Being happy? Having a gay old time like the Flintstones? What can't they talk about? Email me. Real Baron Podcast. Don't give another donation to tell me. email me, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. Put in there Flintstones and Company on the subject line, and I'll find it. I get a lot of emails now. The larger this show gets, the more emails I get, and it will help me find it if you do that, and I'll respond to you there. Baron, love your humor. Even when talking about disturbing things, you manage to make it tolerable. Only tolerable, madam? Only tolerable? Love the show and laughs and truly great information. Now, if you could stop the rainy weather here, you, sir, would be a superhero. So when I met my wife, we were living in Auburn. We were going to Auburn. And I would drive her back, and always around Thanksgiving. We'd spend Thanksgiving here. And then Christmas with her family. And we would come back and then we'd come back after Christmas. But every time I brought her here, because we didn't come during the summer a lot, we came in around Christmas and Thanksgiving, and it was always gray. It was always this gray. And I call it Middle Tennessee gray. And for those that don't know, Middle Tennessee sits like in a bowl. You can actually see it from space. It's like a big hole. And that hole, my theory is, and I don't know that this is true, but my theory is that hole traps moisture that looks like clouds, and it blocks the sun out from like November, from like Halloween to Easter. We don't get the sun. It's a gray haze that sets in over Middle Tennessee. And it mists, and it drizzles, and it's cold, and the leaves fall, and they rot all over the place. You don't want to move here, people. It's full. You don't want to be here. It's too gray. And traffic is terrible. But it's the greatest place in the world. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Have lived lots of other places. This is the best. Mr. P.G. Whitaker II, who released Candace's lawyer's address? It was on a public filing, sir. Is it just a lie, or is it really where the law firm is? No, I pulled it on Pacer. It's really true. Pacer's the online federal filing. It's true. Who could have known that it was her lawyer? I'll let you in on a secret. All federal court filings are available for the public. All you have to do is sign up for a Pacer account, Pacer. If you like Google search Pacer Gov, Pacer space Gov, you will get access to Pacer. You'll have to sign up and give a credit card or give a billing address or something where they can send you an invoice. But you sign up and you can search any federal court. Now, there's, I think, 10 cents for every document download. So, for example, I think when I downloaded the amended complaint that had the address on it just to double check it, it was like 150 pages, let's call it. So it was like $15 to download it. So it's not free. And if you download and it costs to run searches as well. So it's every time you run a search, it costs money, $1 or $2, and every time you download something, it costs money. But it's available to the public. The public court system is in fact public. So this is not a conspiracy theory, young man. Or old man. Not sure which. Any possibility CK could have been an intel agent? I know that was under $5, but I wanted to address this. Yes, of course. Of course. Unlikely. Unlikely. But not out of the realm of possibility. You asked possibility, not probability. Not probable, but possible. I appreciate your truth-telling research. Thank you. You're welcome, Sherry J. Johnson. I appreciate your donation. It's very generous, and it allows this show to get better. Get better and better every time. Baron, send that to Candace. I haven't seen that yet. Holy doo-doo. Which one? You don't have to donate again to tell me. I know you know my email address, realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. Put in there your username, Spatago, Spatogo. Spa to go? Or do you like do spa services on the road? Spatago? Or is that like some Italian dish that I'm not familiar with? I'd like an order of a Spatago. It sounds like an Italian meat. Like they got sausages and they got all these weird Italian names. Spatago. Candace said today that her lawyer doesn't have an office there. Her lawyer had to hire a law firm in Delaware because her lawyer's based in. Yeah, that's what I just said. You probably sent that before I said it, but yeah, that's what I said. Let's see here. $4.99. Erica said Isaiah 6:8 was Charlie's favorite. Those maroon shirts feel like a mastermind's signature. Deep red duty, sacrifice, send me energy. Do we know what Isaiah 6:8 says? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, a Catholic with a Bible. Oh, my goodness. A Catholic with a Bible. Will he be able to find Isaiah? Oh, he's looking. He's flipping. The clock is running. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We got all these extra books. It makes it harder. 4, 3, 2. Where the hell is Isaiah? That's probably a poor way to put that. Am I going to have to go to the holy table of contents? Maybe I was too far in the back. Daniel, Ezekiel. I got to be getting close. These are names I recognize. Jeremiah. Isaiah. Isaiah it is. Isaiah 6:8. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Straight from the official authoritative Catholic Bible. This is the official Catholic Bible. You'll see that there. Just so you know, I'm not reading some snake handler stuff. There we go. 6:8, you say? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Here I am. I said, send me. Oh, we should have kept going. This is my favorite part. It makes fun of the people. Why are we stopping at 6:8? Guys, the fun stuff is in verse 9 and 10. Listen to this. Listen carefully, but do not understand. Look intently, but do not perceive. Make the heart of his people sluggish. Dull their ears and close their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and their heart understand, and they turn and be healed. Huh. Oh, man, it gets even better. How long, O Lord? So the Lord is telling Isaiah, go tell these people they're retarded. That's what he's saying. I shouldn't use the R word. I was chastised in email. Go tell the people that they're not paying attention. How long shall I say this? Until the cities are desolate without inhabitants, houses without people, and the land is a desolate waste. Man, when the big guy speaks, he's mad. You guys think I get angry. Until the Lord sends his people far away. From Israel? I thought this was their birthright. And great is the desolation in the midst of the land. If there remain a tenth part in it, then this in turn shall be laid waste. Man, this is... The Lord wasn't playing around when he wrote that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm with Charlie. 6:8 was dope, but 6, 9, and 10 were where the action really was. Maybe that's what Charlie knew, that he would entice us with the send me, and it sounded cheery, and then it was like, yeah, send me to tell them they're idiots. Because that's what he said. Go tell them they're going to die. That's what it said. Do I need to read it again? This is great. Charlie Kirk's favorite verse was like, hey, go tell these people that they're idiots and I'm going to destroy their land. That's his favorite verse? Are there notes to this? Where are the holy notes? Yeah, here are the holy notes. You ready? Isaiah's words give evidence that he attempted in every way through admonition, threats, and promise to bring the people to conversion. So it is unlikely that this change to harden is to be understood as Isaiah's task. More probably, it reflects the refusal of the people, more particularly the leaders who are supposed to see, hear, and understand. A refusal which would then lead to a disastrous outcome. Boy, wasn't that the message of Charlie Kirk's life? How many people did he try to win over only to get shot in the neck by some of those same people? I'm severely uncomfortable with Mikey and his entire podcast background. The duck's hat, the books, the chair, and the mic all scream, I want to be Charlie. Should I put the Bible up? But you see how convenient? I wasn't put it there for show. I sit in front of it. You guys don't even know it's here. It's not like you can read what these books are anyway. They're just, you know why I put them there? They eat up sound. This credenza, oh, excuse me, let me hide my tape. This credenza was sending sound off into those glass pictures. And I was hearing it on the microphone when I would get away. I could hear that there was a sound reverberation coming back. So I put some books there and it went away. And they're free. I had them sitting on that bookcase right there. So it's not a prop. I don't use the Bible as a prop, but it came in handy right there. I don't want to be Charlie. Certainly don't want to end like Charlie ended. That'd be terrible. But I agree with you. The whole like pushing Mikey to be Charlie Jr. is weird. That affect is not cutting it. I'm sorry. Whatever it is Mikey does with his voice, and that ain't cutting it. I got bad news for him. $5 Telegraphic sent you an email about spy plane drones analysis worth considering. Flight logs show a spy plane with UAV capability near UVU before, after the event. I don't recall seeing that. Could you resend it so it pops to the top of my inbox, please, sir? Let's see here. Brian Harpole told Sean Ryan Paramount Tactical had the best analysis of the shooting. Now YouTube disables his feed. Coincidence? Weird. Brian Harpole told Sean Ryan Paramount Tactical had the best. Oh, I see what you're saying. So on Sean Ryan's show, Brian Harpole told Sean Ryan about the great analysis from Paramount Tactical. I don't know why they disabled his platform. I mean, he's like, I wouldn't show a gun in my image. And I know he does. And I know Sean Ryan does. If you look at his bar, he's got like 2 guns up there. That's not the look I would go for on YouTube. They should be able to. But I would be worried they'd take it down for that alone. I'm half worried they'll take it down for like a fleur-de-lis. Like it's too religious. That's why I sit in front of the Bible. I don't want to upset the non-believers. You like that shoulder shimmy? All right, on the map. Didn't Spidey go right away from the school? He was running in the dirt. That's north of the Army ROTC. Let's go back. I don't know what you're talking about. No. That's not right. That's not right. He went this way. So he ran off this building up to the right into that neighborhood. Like he ran from here. That's the corner of the building he dropped off of. That's the grass he walked along. And then he came to this intersection and then he walked up, presumably into this neighborhood here. The video cut off before, but that's where he ran. The ROTC building is all the way over here on the other side of the ROTC building. That's the National Guard building. So the ROTC building is right there. Yeah, maybe. But that's still the northeast corner up here. That's this plot of land up here I'm talking about. It's detracting you from what's taking place over here, in my opinion. I think there's an effort to divert attention away from over there. That's all I can say at this point. Wow. You guys are so kind. Love your show, Mr. Wiggles. Go Max. I mean, I can put that for $100. I'll tape this back on. Yeah. There we go. We're back, baby. I ought to sell the placard each show. You mean $200 before the show starts? I'll let you pick what I put up here, as long as it's clean. Family-friendly show. Family-friendly show. Thank you, and I love your donation. Dorcas Sablanalop. For $102, I'll learn how to pronounce that. $4.99, Baron, go look at the video of the guy jumping. There's a guy walking towards the SUV on the bottom left that looks almost like Tyler. Almost like he was lured, so his GPS... I see what you're going with that. I have watched the video. I don't know if I still have it pulled up. But I have watched the video, and I know what you're talking about. There's a guy... So, like, if this is the video and Tyler's over here jumping off the building and running that way, the SUV's on this side of the parking lot, and there's a guy walking towards him. And I know what you're talking about. I can't tell who looks like who, though. They look like ants, as far as I'm concerned. They all look the same. Baron, net new, keep up the great work. You're doing the Lord's work. I try, and I fail. I fail time and time again, but I try. Thank you. Live for your opening remarks. Nobody comes close in the monologue game. Well, I'll be. That's high praise. There's some great monologists out there. Maybe Colvette shared the Israel group text to throw them off to TPUSA being involved in any way, even though they're one and the same LOL donors. I hadn't considered that. Now, that's a sharp remark, Shauna. I had not considered that. That would be diabolical, frankly. It's one thing to murder someone. It's another thing to frame a religious minority group on a small sliver of land in the Middle East. That would be diabolical. Shannon Brown, $10. Byron. Now, ladies and gentlemen. As you watch this program, if you look directly below the screen you're watching, it says Baron, as in Baron, Coleman. I got to tell you a quick story about this. Well, let me read this. I know some of the creators talk behind the scenes. Can you give me a blunt explanation on what or who you think is involved? I cannot. I'm not going to betray anyone's trust on things we talk about privately. Let me tell you a great Byron story. So I was working in radio, and I'd been at this station like 3 or 4 years. I had a pretty popular show. Like I had like a 12 share, 14 share, which if you know radio, that's pretty good for the market. Like 1 out of 7, 1 out of 8 radios at any given time that are on you. Like it's a huge share. And in key demographics, I'm not talking about like the kids, but so I've got some chops. Well, I also know how to produce the show. And the producer of the show that followed me was out for the week. So I agree. I said, yeah, I'll produce your show for a week. I'll sit in here. And the guy's like, I'll throw you some bones. So he gave me a little money. And then on the last day, on the Friday, I'd done it Monday through Friday. The Friday I get off, he said, let's go to the store. I'll buy you some steaks. Yeah. I was working on a radio salary. Not ideal to raise kids on. So I'm like, sure, let's go get some steaks. So we go over to the grocery store. And my buddy who does, I thought he was my buddy, the guy who does the show after me, is introducing me to everyone in the store as Byron. And I kept looking at him like, Dan, my name is Barron. I've been on the air behind you for 4 years. I see you every day. Like you come into the studio, you sit in the chair while I finish my show. I have to stand up during the 6-minute changeover. We talk. We exchange pleasantries. We talk about our day. We mention stories. And then I leave. How do you not know my name? It was maddening. Oh, I was furious. So that's why I reacted a little that way. I had a PTSD flashback. Class of 82, Ernie Pyle will be proud of you, Baron, as am I. Fast, physical, relentless. Go Max. Go Hoosiers. Hoosiers are good this year. If they can just beat Purdue. If they can beat Purdue, then they get that matchup with Ohio State. I got the Hoosiers by 53. Maybe 54. Whatever it takes. Stephen Godwin. L-Bucks. The only time you put your arm like that is if you've just given blood, yet that's still too high. Yeah, you're going to have to give me a legitimate explanation for exactly what he was doing because I can't figure it out. Cindy Yates. Cindy, this is amazing. Thank you. Genuinely, thank you. Put his step forward movement of hand to bicep, talking about Dan Flood. Put his step forward movement of hand to biceps, his exact location to Charlie in a chat GPT or Grok, etc., and you will find he was sending a signal of stand down, don't approach, etc. Sounds like gave the signal of stay, put his doo-doo about to pop off. That is your opinion, Cindy. I am not saying he was involved. I'm saying it looks weird. And it's very coincidental. That's all I'm saying. Because I have liability to worry about. 1999, Rain Dancer Blues 12. Thank you. Did you receive my tip about suspicious members in blue shirts and a mysterious tattoo? Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. But I think the tattoo was a Cubs sign. Are you the one that sent the Cubs signal? It looked like a Cubs thing. If that was you. If not, send it again. Put tattoo in the subject line. So I'll remember. Kim Pruitt, thank you for that donation, by the way. Very generous. Kim Pruitt, $10. Thank you for speaking about the smear campaign against Candace. It's diabolical, dude. It is diabolical. I'm sorry, Kim, for calling you dude. That's unbecoming of me. Chick. Just kidding, kid. Makes me sick, and I've been fighting in comments against it daily. I'm a young widowed mother too, and people using Erica as cover pisses me off. Well, first, I'm very sorry for your loss. And second, it irritates me as well because it's cowardly. Like, you're a man. Stand up and fight like a man. Why are you hiding behind some little petite Miss Arizona? That's so unbecoming. So I'm with you. Bless your heart, and thank you for the donation. Thank you very, very much. Wow, Owen Hornbaker, $50. You guys are so humbling. Did you see Terrell nod in Dan's direction just before his arm move? So I saw a lot. I told you I went and I charted every person's movement in that image in the like 2 minutes leading up to the sound, the loud sound, we'll call it. And Terrell was one of them I charted. I will say his movements at the end were subtle, and I did not get the indication. I mean, this is just me. Maybe you see it differently. I did not get the indication he was sending a signal at the moment of the shot. Now, could he have been doing other things along the way to prepare? I don't know. But I know it doesn't seem to me like he's giving a signal. People who could have been giving a signal, there was a black photographer or videographer who put sunglasses on right before the sequence started. That could have been a signal. Mikey leaned in and looked. Could have been a signal. There was a lot of texting going on, including from Terrell, including from Mikey, including from Dan, including from Brian Harple, frankly. So that was weird. I did see Cutler giving what appeared to be some kind of a countdown. He gave a 5, he gave a 4, he gave a 3. I never saw the 2 or the 1. And those 5, 4, and 3 could have meant anything. Maybe saying, I need 5 hot dogs. I need 4 nachos. I need 3 Nutter Butters and 2 Diet Sodas and 1 Andy's Fresh Mint because I don't want to have a bad breath after all that. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing. I saw that, but I've never seen it timed out over the course of the whole event. So we see that the times line up with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I saw him give 3 different numbers, and I don't even know what order those were taken in. So I can't even say that was that suspicious. I will say for all the cameras that were there that day, we didn't get very much. And it's a little frustrating. Thank you for your donation. Wish I could work on some stuff with you, dude. Big fan. I got your email. I heard what I saw what you said. I wrote you back. Check your email. I wrote you back. Tucker Carlson, CIA agent. What a picture that is. Wow. Have the feds contacted you yet since your channel has an influence has grown? No, I don't know that they have my number. Now, if they send some patsy through or they send, I've been contacted by a lot of people, but none of them have said, Baron, I'm here on behalf of the federal government and I have an offer that you can't refuse. I think I'd just go off the air. I got a job. I don't have to do this. I wouldn't go that route. I'm late Friday night. More curious. I'm late Friday night. Yeah, it's Friday night. And it's not terribly late. It's 9:15 Central Time. More curious about the brown guy's arm movement at the very moment. We calling people brown guy now? That's where we are? Brown guy? Are you talking about a guy in a brown shirt? Or are you describing a human being as a brown guy? Did I miss addressing this? You rock, your words captivate my eagerly searching brain. Well, now I feel bad about the whole brown guy comment. I'm trying to think of what other brown guy you'd be talking about. You notice I'm really conserving sips at this point. Like I am just drops it, just letting it roll back and just touch the lips with moisture. I think you might be talking about Rick Cutler, where he pulled on his sleeve and it looked like the people are saying he had a palm gun. Hey, if Rick Cutler shot him with a palm gun, that would be such an unbelievable shot. People would be talking about that for 4 centuries. I just cannot say. A palm gun is meant to be used like from 2 inches. It's like when you're walking through and you got your hoodie and somebody comes out, bang. It is not meant to be used as a sniper weapon from across an auditorium. They're not accurate. I mean, the barrel's that long. The longer the barrel is, you're more accurate. That's why rifles are accurate at a long distance. A palm gun is a barrel like that. I mean, it probably wouldn't be accurate for 4 feet. I certainly wouldn't want to be Dan Flood standing behind palm gun guy. That's danger zone right there. I don't even know if I'd want to be Mikey if guy was fired a palm gun from that far away. So I'm out on the palm gun. I will never buy the palm gun. Now, was he pulling some kind of... But if you're going to do that, why have it up here? Why not have it in your pocket? Beep, beep. See what I'm saying? I've not seen anything that convinces me Rick Cutler did anything wrong. When you're doing Bitcoin, why you pacing? What day did I announce the Bitcoin show? I'm going to show a Bitcoin chart. I thought about this. So I got a call after I announced that I was going to do the Bitcoin show, and a buddy of mine who's kind of a connected insider said, hey, what direction are we going with this Bitcoin show? And I said, well, here's kind of what I'm thinking. I kind of told him. Now, here's the beginning, here's sort of the middle, and here's sort of the end of what I'm going to cover. And he said, I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would do that show. And I said, well, it's open source intel. It's all available on the internet. It's still there. I've run these searches enough times. They're not coming down. They're old. And he was like, well, that's up to you. So I announced this show on Wednesday, November 12th, that I was going to do this show. Bitcoin was at 103,000 when I announced it. Was it Wednesday, November 12th? Or yeah, it was somewhere in there. It was like between 101 and 106. That's about when I announced it. Since then, Bitcoin has taken a dump. It got down at 80, and now it's at 84. I'll say this about Bitcoin. I'm going to do the show. I'm going to be a little more cautious with how I do it, and I might leave out a couple of small facts that I think might cause some particular heartburn in certain areas. But you'll get the picture. But in terms of it being a currency or a store of value, those are the only two things Bitcoin could be, a currency or a store of value. The only other option is like Dutch tulips, right? Like something of 0 and 8 value that is so grossly inflated that that you can't possibly do anything with it. Like those are your options. It's a total Ponzi scheme where the only value it has is that someone else might want to buy it from you for more, similar to the NFT craze a couple years ago. So that's one choice, and it's the worst choice, frankly. Might be the most accurate, but it's the worst choice. The other choice is people try to pigeonhole it in or currency or store of value. Guys, it's down 35% in the last couple weeks. Stores of value don't go down 35%, nor do currencies. Could you imagine if you had to pay your rent with Bitcoin and you owe $2,000? But now you owe $3,000 because it's off 50% this month? Well, that's not a currency. That's certainly not a store of value. So I'm going to do the show. Here's a connected one. When are you going to do the Bitcoin episode? I need to know if I need to sell my positions. I do not give financial advice. You can buy, you can sell. I don't care. That's irrelevant to me. I'm not doing the show to influence the price. Mail lady. Mama. Ooh, that was a good point right there with the life is driving. Good work you're doing. Stay safe. And thank you for being in the fight for truth. This was awful and deserves to be exposed fully. Couldn't agree more. I have a lot of other stories I want to cover. Not tonight, but just generally things that interest me. But I keep coming back to this because it's so important right now. $5, Marilyn Crockett. When Brian Harpole was at the hospital asking for an autopsy, keeping my client alive would be the most important thing, period. I think by then he knew he was dead. I mean, if you believe him, it's really weird because I saw Charlie Kirk get shot. We all did. Bullet comes in, and you get this weird gush of blood, but it's not like shooting out. Like there are surveillance footages of people getting nicked in the neck, and the blood like phew, phew, I mean, just firing away, going feet, 6, 8, 10 feet. I mean, the heart is very powerful. We didn't get that here. We just got a gush of blood where it's like the valve opened, right? Yet Brian Harpole says when he's on top of Charlie, the blood shoots into his mouth. Hey, that's weird, bro. Just take that to the grave. Take it to the grave. It was almost too Christ-like for me. Like, we don't talk about that with people, bro. Too weird. But I didn't see the wound doing that, so I don't know that that's even true. And I didn't see blood all over his face. Like, that would have to be very specific to shoot right into your mouth. It was a little homoerotic, if we're being honest. Just because you're awesome, thanks for all you do. Thank you, Kay Perry. Oh yeah, you're the one that's not Katy Perry. I remember you donated before. You have not gone to space. You have not gone to space. Thank you for all you do, and your donation is very generous. I'll put it to good use. No need to apologize. I'm doing this because you no need to apologize. Shannon Brown. No need to apologize. Why don't you have a John Brown, Kansas Jayhawk picture behind you? The greatest white man since Jesus Christ. Kansas has broken my heart too many times. Don't forget I'm an Indiana fan. Okay? You think I haven't had my heart just destroyed by Kansas multiple times? Buddy, it's happened. It's happened. Very, 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 very sore subject. Mattless, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very generous donation there. Go Bear and Go. Love from New Orleans. Thank you, Jen. My latex spouse. Now, that's weird. I don't even know what that would mean. My latex spouse? Not my latex, but someone else's, presumably. Is that like well, it's a family show. I'm not going to ask. I've already made 2 comments I probably shouldn't have made. Noble Price, 8448. You can be a willing participant without knowing it. You can play your part by being consistently inept. There's a term for it, useful idiot. In that case, the useful idiot would be Brian Harpole. That's possible. That's possible. Hey, I found, oh gosh. Should I say this? I found an old, what looks like inactive Instagram account that Brian Harpole was either managing at one time or at least was featured on frequently. And it's an old, I don't know if it's current company or old company. But then I started looking at the people he followed and I noticed a pattern. It was weird. And I looked at all the people that this account followed. And I thought, buddy, if you're trying to dispel the notion of certain things going on in that organization, this is not the way I would do it. That would not the way I would do it. All right. Our phones autocorrect your name to Byron and Baron with 2 R's. We don't mean to spell your name wrong. Well, that's certainly welcome news. That's certainly welcome news. I apologize for the chastisement, ladies and gentlemen. $20 Truth of AIDS. The advisory board is sus. Dave Bloomberg hired only Unit 8200 guys since 93. Was mentored by Charlie Bronfman, who was part of a mega group with the likes of Les Wexner. He has connections with all the same dudes as Epstein. I've not checked any of that out. I was paid $20 to put that comment up. I don't know anything about it. You think they'll let me slide on that? You think that'll keep me alive? $4.99 is the gun photo that was provided by the FBI to the media and real. Then why would Tyler say his dad recognized the gun? Good question. Good question. Good question. Steelers girl, super sticker. Thank you. Very, very generous. Candace addressed lawyer tonight and note multiple defendants. Also, maroon shirt with skateboard ID'd by Public Bureau of Investigation. Public Bureau of the PBI? Is there such a place? Owen Hornbaker, $19.99. Thank you. Very kind. Keep up the good work. Well, you keep up the good work, Maram. Mad World, great song. Mad World. Okay, I will never try to sing again. I apologize, ladies and That was the name of an album that Lane Staley did on a side project from Alice in Chains. I think it was called Mad World. Big ups from your Cradle Catholic mod. Thank you for being you, and I always have your back. You're welcome. I tell you, I had a lot of applications for the moderator position, and the Ted Cruz cheerleading outfit did it. Rick likely not involved, but what do you think was in his sleeve? Looked like a cigarette box. Later, that same sleeve looks empty by Charlotte. I didn't notice anything in the sleeve. I just thought it was rolled up. Let's see if I can find an image here real quick. Let's see if I look up Rick Cutler palm gun, will that get it to me? Palm gun. Yeah, there we go. I didn't look like anything's in the sleeve. Sorry. Look, it would be so convenient if the guy right in front of the camera did it, but I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see it. Anybody know what Signal Guy said to Charlie right before he gave the signal? Signal Guy said to Charlie right before he gave the signal. Oh, no. Also, what did plaid shirt bearded security guy take off the table before he bumped into palm gun guy? I don't know. You guys are asking a lot of very specific questions. For $10, I wish I knew. I just don't. $10, brown guy. Yes, Rick, not palm gun. Okay, good. Now that I know we're not disparaging people for immutable characteristics. I'm talking about hand signals. Sorry to be late. I didn't expect Friday. Great work. I put the notice up very late. I wasn't sure what time I would be able to go tonight, and I did not want to commit to a time and be late because I respect you guys. I honor you. Your content and research are great, but delivery style is the best part of your show. I sent you a detailed email regarding Terrell's movements 2 days ago. I got it. I don't respond to every email, but I do. I've got a pretty good memory. And I'm able to access this file cabinet pretty quickly at times. And I do remember that. It was a detailed, it was a detailed email. There's no doubt about that. You've nailed the description. Your adjective game is on point. $4.99 Pro 31 Designs. Thank you. $19.99 Merrill Forest. That sounds so peaceful. Like I want to live in a Merrill Forest. $19.99. Why can't I find Paris, France in Google Trends? Also, I think I have a picture of someone's involved this international hit squad. What should I title the email? Transnational Hit Squad. I'll remember that. Tucked away nicely. Transnational Hit Squad. Now, you people who are trying to trick me into reading your emails, don't title your subject that. If I tell someone to title their subject that, and you title your subject that, I might have to get out the old block button. That would be devastating if people were trying to dupe me that way. What radio station did you work for? Did you DJ music or do news, sports? I did a show much like the one you're watching now. It just have no video. I meant to say this earlier. Actually, I only have one more super. So let me get to this and then I'll get back to your question. I want to see an interview of Harpole before Charlie Kirk's death, see how he talks, acts, etc. I've watched him, baby. I've got his interviews. I've got audio ones. I've got video ones. What do you want to see? I've watched them. I thought about covering a couple of them. It's how I knew he was homeless for a year. It's how I knew he was homeless for a year. All right, I worked for a radio station. If you Google my name, you'll find it. I just don't want to give him any press. I worked for 2 different radio stations, and I subbed on a third radio station where I did like guest hosting when people were out of town. I would come in. It was all talk format, and I did it for years. I did the part-time for several years, and then I did full-time 5 days a week, 3 hours a day for several years. And I think that's why my podcast is a little different than most people. And here, let me say what I mean by that. Podcast people, let me come in a little bit. This is an important discussion because it gives you a little idea of who I am and why this might work, why we all might be getting along. Podcast people come in 3 varieties these days, in my opinion. They come in three varieties. Variety one, comedian, like the podfather himself, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is a comedian turned podcaster. Dave Smith, comedian turned podcaster. Theo Vaughn. Why do comedians make good podcasters? Because people want two things in a podcast. They want to be informed, or they want to be entertained, or they want to be informed and entertained. They want one of those two things or both. So comedians make good podcasters because they scratch the entertainment itch. And as long as they can book a guest, they don't have to carry the information. I have to carry all the information. I've been on the air 2 hours and 32 minutes tonight without taking a break. You know how bad I got to pee right now? Like, it's insane how bad I got to go to the bathroom. But I'm the only one here. Like, what am I going to do? Get up and walk out? Unplug my ears and just leave? No, I got to sit here. I got to finish the program. I come to you guys for super chats, but I'm commenting on them and reading them. So I have to provide all the information for you. A lot of the comedians do guests, or they have sidekicks. Like Dave Smith has Robbie the Fire Bernstein. Robbie's great. No issue with that whatsoever. A lot of times Theo has a sidekick if he doesn't have a guest. So that's kind of category one, comedians. Category two of podcasters are people that come from television. So you get like Clayton Morris at Redacted, and he's got his wife as a sidekick. You've got Tucker Carlson, came from television, one of the biggest animals in the world. And there are others. Bill O'Reilly has a podcast, or did. He came from television. So you get comedian or you get television presenter. Those are your two biggest animals. Coming in down below with a totally different style, because a comedian is like funny first, and that's their delivery. The television presenter is like polished and they don't move much, and that's why you guys are weird when I wiggle all the time, because the television presenter sits here and they have a nice bob haircut if they're a female, or they have the nice curly haircut if they're a male, and they look great and they look polished and they wear nice clothes and they are used to being on television and they read teleprompters and they just do a great job. And I don't do that. Like, I come from radio. No one could see me. But because I came from radio, I have to create a world with my voice alone. The television presenter has always been on TV. So the camera doesn't add any different element for them. They don't add any different element for Tucker Carlson than he got at CNN, than he had at MSNBC, than he had at Fox News. There's no different element for him. He's staring into a camera and either reading a teleprompter or coming up with material or interviewing somebody, the things he did on camera. So he couldn't wiggle on Fox News. If I had this presentation on Fox News, I'd be fired in an hour. Murdoch himself would come back from the grave. Is he dead? If he's dead, he'd come back from the grave. If not, he would call on his way to the grave. And he would say, get that guy off my TV show. I can't have him on Fox News. He wiggles. But on the radio, I don't get that. Now, because I don't have a camera on the radio, I have to create the world with my voice. I have to do that through varying my voice. You'll notice sometimes I get low for effect. Sometimes I get high and I get angry and I get going. These days, it's natural. It's just who I am. It's burnt into my being because I spent so many hours, thousands and thousands of hours on the radio. It's built into me. I know how to move around the microphone for effect. I know what it does when I'm above it. I know what it does when I'm beside it. And I know what it does when I'm directly on it. I can move all around the microphone and I create a world with my voice alone. Because when someone's driving down the road, you're coming out of a door speaker about that big. And if you're boring, they're going to wreck their car. Like, you're going to put them to sleep and they're going to run into oncoming traffic and hit someone head on. And someone's going to die. And it's going to be your fault because you suck as a broadcaster. I don't have that luxury when there's no camera. Now that I have a camera, unfortunately, I am who I am. It's built into me. So you're going to get this wild variance of vocal affect. I also talk faster than most podcasters. Why? Because when I used to have guests on the radio, I told them you need to do two things. One, you need to talk louder than you normally talk. Because no one wants to be on the radio or driving down the road and hear someone talk like this. It doesn't work. You have to talk louder. And what I would tell them is, imagine you're at a noisy bar, it's Saturday night, and you're trying to talk to the person 2 bar stools over. That's how loud you need to talk. You got to be up here on the radio. Masters of this? Sean Hannity mastered this. Mark Levin, for all his manifold faults, and they are plenty, he's great on the radio as a tactician himself. He's loud. He varies his voice. He knows when to get soft. He knows when to go deep. He knows when to get high and whiny. It has an effect. Now, again, it's not manipulative. It's just who I am because of being on the radio for years. But I think that's why my podcast delivery style, that's the number one thing I get comments on. I do get comments. Hey, I appreciate your content. I learned something. But I get like 80% of the comments are like, man, you're the first podcast that's actually entertained me on news. Everyone else, I'm just trying to figure out what it is they're going to say. I want to go research what they're talking about. And again, I'm not trying to be entertaining. Believe it or not, this is kind of how I am in real life, a little bit. Not quite so much energy. I never do, guys, not who I am. It is a little. But it's just ingrained in me. So I did not do DJ music. I don't know how to bring in a song. I don't know how to hit the post. I don't know how to do a That Was, This Is. That was Def Leppard off their Pyrotechnic album. Up next. I don't do that. We got Fleetwood Mac. Tell Me Some Lies. Sweet Little Lies. That's not me. I respect the hell out of people who can do that. I had good friends who did that and did it excellently. Some of the best in the game. But that's not my style. I like listening to the radio, but I never did music. But I did do news. I did not do sports. Sports radio isn't news. It is just opinion. That coach should have called a timeout. Why did he call a timeout? I'd have called a timeout. Bud, you're making $13 an hour on the radio. That guy's making $9 million a year to know when to call timeouts. I trust the $9 million guy. And so that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Take a bathroom break. We will wait. No sausage and biscuits. It's not going to happen. My molars will float before I will do that. I will drown from the bottom before I do that. I mod for others, and they take pee-pee breaks. Pee-pee breaks? I mean, it's a family show, but it's not that family. Not that family of a show. My name is from the Adelson Markle murder case, by the way. Oh, latex spouse. I don't know what that is. Sounds hot. Adelson Markle murder case. I'm going to look it up. Am I going to get in trouble for this if my wife sees this search term on my phone? I don't want to get in trouble. I keep a clean, tidy profile. I've never donated a dollar to any political public figure, political entity, or movement. The donation represents a quarter of my current net worth. I believe in you and your ability to get after it. Keep going. Let me put a solid 25% roof for all audience members. You may never donate more than 25% of your net worth. We're going to call it the Jasper Lawrence rule. The Jasper Lawrence rule. I'm going to write it down. Jasper Lawrence rule. 25%. Okay, that's the new rule. It's official. I'm going to put it in the show description. You may not donate more than 25% of your net worth. I probably should take a picture because your name is not the standard American spelling of Lawrence. Jasper Lawrence, I thank you for trusting me with 25% of your net worth. I will not let you down. I'll put it to good use. I'm investing back into the show with better quality cameras, a little better processing power, better monitor setup, better lighting. I am investing what you guys are giving back into the show. The next step is, I don't know if I've been clicking around tonight. I've seen where it skips some. The next step is I'm getting a quote to get the hard line run directly into this room so that I have a better internet connection and don't skip so much. So trust me, your donations are being put to good use. Being put to very, very good use. Thank you, Jasper, for breaking your long-standing tradition of not donating to people. I freaking love you and pray for your success and your family. Thank you, Crawley. I love you. Thank you for that donation. Keep it up. We must reject the fake and gay. Christ is king. Mourning MTG's resignation. I mourn it a little bit too. I think she's good for public discourse. I want to say, what's the tattooed guy's name? Didn't she used to own a gym with some guy who's semi-famous in the fitness world? I can see him. He's got like chest tattoos and tattoos down his arms. Can't think of his name right now. I think she's pretty fit. Like, I saw her do a video where she did a hotel thing where she was doing burpees over the queen bed. That was wild. She'd like do a burpee and then like roll over the bed to the other side and do a burpee and jumping over the chairs and stuff. For 55, she's fit. I know a lot of 55-year-olds who groan when they stand up off the couch. You know that move? Thanksgiving's coming. You'll see the move, right? Gotta go to the bathroom. If that's you, get in a gym, baby. Get fit. You don't even need to go to the gym. Start walking. If that's you, start walking. And here is my test. I'll get to your comment, I promise. Here's my test. Starting about the age of 40, if you do nothing else, go into your kitchen and get a kitchen chair where you sit at least parallel, like you're not sitting so high. If you got one that you sit too high, try to find something where you sit down to at least parallel. Parallel meaning your hip bone is equal to your knee bone. And stand up without using your hands. Like that. You stand up without using your hands, but you stand all the way up to full extension and then sit back down. Do that 20 times in the morning. Do it 20 times in the middle of the day. And do it 20 times in the evening. There will come a time in your life when 60 a day is too many. And you'll have to cut it back to just 20 a couple of times a day. And then there'll come a time in your life where you'll only be doing 15 at a time a couple times a day. And then maybe 10, and then maybe just 10 once a day. But it will extend the quality of your life. Because the day you can no longer stand up on your own without your hands, the clock is ticking on you becoming a burden to people around you. I'm just telling you that's a fact. So you need to keep enough muscle tissue in your quads and hammies and glutes that you can stand up. You're not always going to be 30, 40, 50 years old. One day you're going to be 60, 70, 80, 90, and you need to be able to stand up. So go do that. If you're middle age or above, if you're 40 or older, stand up and down out of a chair, and you'll think, oh, it's so easy. I don't need to do this. Good. May it always be easy. May you think you don't have to do it for the rest of your life. Because the day it's not easy, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. Did you see video of what looked like a person on the roof to the right straight after bang? No. I saw a video of what looked like a person on the Sorensen Center right after the bang. I have that stored. I don't know what to make of it. It's where I thought the shot came from. A-money, more A-money. I got to figure out what A-money is. Let me see if I can figure that out real quick. A-money. Currency. Where's that coming from? Australian. G'day, mate. I'm not a knife. This is a knife. Thanks for the A-money. There's only, Stacey Oz. I should just read your dadgum username. Don't I feel like an idiot? Julie Wheeler. Julie Wheeler. $9.99. Great show. Your delivery and movements remind me of Rush. Dog, stop it. You just, now I'm a sucker for false flattery. If that was what that was, I appreciate it. I'm willing to accept it. But stop it. Rush is the delivery goat. There's no one that ever talked on a radio smoother than Rush Limbaugh. Period. End of story. But thank you. Honestly, thank you. I will say this. I was a Rush baby. My parents listened to Rush Limbaugh when I was little. I heard him in the car when we drove places. He even had a TV show we watched. I don't know if you remember the Rush Limbaugh show. It was in the house on the tube. It's possible that you pick up little twerks and not twerks. I'm picking up no twerks. I'm an honest man. Tweaks. What's the word I'm looking for? Ticks or delivery styles or something. It's possible you pick stuff up like that along the way from the goats, from the people you look up to and respect. But that is big praise. Thank you. Big praise. E-Money. I know a guy named E-Money. $5.99. Amazing McCoy said something about Rob Sermon, Blake Neff's ex. Guys, are you watching these podcasts? This is on, hey, man to man. Are you watching these? Because they're bonkers. They're absolutely bonkers. I'm telling you, dude, they're having a gay old time. We'll have a gay old time. Almost 67. I can do it. Got the burn around the 12th rep. Good. Okay, so here's the deal. Mission forward. I'm glad you're doing this. You're doing 12. Don't do more than 12 if you get that burn around there. Tomorrow morning, try to hit 12 again. Tomorrow night, we're going to start twice a day for you. Tomorrow night, 12 again. Do that for a week. If you feel like you need to take a day off at any point, you say, man, my legs are just too tired, take a day, take two. Over time, you'll build up the stamina. I'm talking to people who are in their 40s, doing it 3 times a day. At 67 that you're just starting, work up to it. Work up to it. But you are extending the quality of your life. You're extending your independence. You're extending your life quality. You already started tonight. And for only $5, you got to say thank you for it. I'm playing this just because I disagree with it. Paul Harvey was the OG radio GOAT. He was fine, but he didn't carry a whole show like 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. He had little things he did, little breaks or whatever. I liked Paul Harvey. Paul Harvey, good day. He was great. Speaking of, I will sign off in similar fashion. You guys have been wonderful. I hope your Friday night has been a pleasure. Thank you for spending the time with us. I hope we learned something. I hope we laughed. I hope we cried. It's my Jimmy Valvano moment. But mostly, I hope you like, you subscribe, and you click that notification bell and share with your friends. Share with your friends. It does help grow the show. And the bigger the show gets, the more I have an opportunity to do it. I'm still thinking about the 4-day a week. I'm doing 3 right now, mostly Monday. I mean, Wednesdays and Sundays are pretty solid. Been doing some Fridays, and it's working. May try to work in another day a week and go to 4 days here before long. I just really enjoy it, man. I really love broadcasting. I miss broadcasting. I've missed it for the last 5 years that I've not been broadcasting. And this has been a joy. You guys have, this has been a lot of fun. So thank you. Thank you. As Paul Harvey might say, Baron Coleman, good day.